Chapter 1083. There was no one else who was so shameless. The crowd took the initiative to clear a path for Yoon Chujyo. She seemed like she was not in a hurry and slowly walked towards the competition stage. As she walked, she waved at the crowd and said, "Thank you for your support. You've come to support me so early. I'm really grateful." The corners of everyone's eyes twitched again. "You're too shameless. Who's here to support you?" "Alright, I was originally here to watch the show. But Een Sullian is courting death by running her shameless mouth. We want you to win now, but can you win?" The Huang class students were originally very worried. But when they saw Yoon Chujyo had strolled in, they felt an inexplicable sense of confidence. Perhaps their class monitor would give them a surprise. After all, she had never let them down before. Yoon Chujyo finally strolled to the base of the competition stage. She leaped onto the competition stage and bowed to Instructor Zhuang, who was in charge of the competition. Then she walked to Een Sullian's side and said with a smile, "Een Sullian, have you prepared 2 million upper-grade spirit stones? Don't say that you don't have any money when you lose later." Een Sullian curled her lips and said, "I should be the one asking you that question. You will be the one who loses." Yoon Chujyo sighed and said, "Een Sullian, we have no grudges between us. Moreover, although you are not very beautiful, you are not ugly enough to scare people. I have always been a soft-hearted person. If you cancel the competition now, it is still not too late. I will not hold it against you." Een Sullian was so angry she gritted her teeth. "Yoon Chujyo, you are really shameless. You are afraid and yet you still refuse to admit it, so you want me to cancel the competition on my own accord. Don't even think about it. Instructor Zhuang, since Yoon Chujyo has arrived, the competition can begin." Instructor Zhuang stood up and glanced at the two of them. Then he said, "Yoon Chujyo, you have not paid the fee for the competition. You can only start after you have paid the fee." Yoon Chujyo's eyes were wide open. "What? You still need to pay a fee? How many spirit stones?" 500 spirit stones. Instructor Zhuang thought to himself, this Yoon Chujyo was a hothead. Agreeing to such a reckless competition and not even knowing she had to pay a fee. Yoon Chujyo frowned and looked at Een Sullian. "Een Sullian, this competition was proposed by you. You should pay the fees for me. Otherwise, let's forget about this competition." Instructor Zhuang was stunned on the spot. He had been in charge of the competition stage for many years, but there had never been a competitor who was so shameless. He actually asked his opponent to pay the fees for her. Her skin was too thick. The audience below the stage were equally stunned. Holy shit! There was no one else who was so shameless. Een Sullian sneered. "Yoon Chujyo, are you still shameless? Why should I pay the fees for you?" Yoon Chujyo said with a smile, "Who asked you to propose the competition? You don't have to pay. I don't care. At most, we can cancel the competition." Een Sullian's heart skipped a beat. This Yoon Chujyo couldn't be thinking of taking the opportunity to cancel the competition. Right? I can't let her have her way. And so she said, "You really are a poor person. You didn't say that on purpose, right? Did you think that I wouldn't help you pay for the competition so that you could cancel the competition? In your dreams. Instructor Zhuang, I will pay for Yoon Chujyo's competition fees. Here are another 500 spirit stones." After Instructor Zhuang accepted the spirit stones, she took out a huge spirit stone from her storage ring. This is a low-level spirit stone. It can withstand attacks of less than 1,000 points. When you use your materialized spirit energy to attack this spirit stone, the display screen on the competition stage will display your attack power. Now you can begin. Which one of you will go first? Chapter 1084. A needle? Een Sullian looked at Yoon Chujyo with disdain. "Instructor Zhuang will go first." Instructor Zhuang nodded. Een Sullian walked to the designated area and formed a seal with her hands. A spiritual sword materialized from her spiritual power, stabbed the spirit testing stone. The people below the stage exclaimed in surprise. They did not expect that although Een Sullian was so arrogant, she actually had some skills. It was really rare for her to materialize a sword so solid for someone her age. The attack power of such a solid sword could reach at least 500 points. Soon, the display screen showed the attack power of Een Sullian's sword. 505 points. Een Sullian looked at Yoon Chujyo proudly. "It's your turn." Yoon Chujio looked at her. Insulian, it's still not too late for you to go back on your words now. If you want to cancel the competition now, I will still let you go. Insulian snorted. Cut the crap, it's your turn. Yoon Chujio sighed faintly. Sigh, it's hard to persuade a stubborn ghost. Since that's the case, I'll show you see how powerful I am. Yoon Chujio walked to the designated area. Without forming a seal, she waved her hand, and a small purple needle shot toward the spirit stone. The entire stage turned silent. What the hell did Yoon Chujio materialize? A needle? How could a human materialize that thing? Insulian was the first to laugh out loud. Haha. Haha. Yoon Chujio, you actually materialized a needle? Do you think that we're competing to sew clothes? The audience below the stage also laughed out loud. Damn. It's too funny. Yoon Chujio actually materialized a needle. How much attack power can that needle have? It probably won't even reach one, right? That's right, she's too weak. No wonder Insulian called her trash. She's really is trash. There's no suspense in this match. Yoon Chujio has overestimated herself. Isn't she asking to be humiliated? Instructor Jisha, Fengming, and the others were filled with worry. Their thoughts were the same as those people. How powerful could a needle be? They were going to lose for sure. Instructor Jisha was extremely regretful. He had thought that Yoon Chujio had a good idea, but now it seemed that this little girl was just trying to be brave. What should they do? The number on the display had always been 0, but it had not even reached a single point of attack power. Instructor Zhuang, who was in charge of the competition stage, looked at Yoon Chujio sympathetically. Even though there were still a few seconds left, however, the result of this competition was obvious. Insulian had won. Insulian's face was full of pride. Yoon Chujio, people, the most important thing is to have self-awareness. You were so weak that you should have apologized to me at that time. Now you have lost this competition. According to the agreement, you should kneel and apologize to me. Yoon Chujio looked at her casually. What's the rush? Isn't it time yet? Maybe my little Joe's thunderbolt needle has not woken up yet. What a stubborn duck. Alright, I want to see how powerful an embroidery needle can be. Insulian said disdainfully. The people below the competition stage also felt that Yoon Chujio was just being stubborn. No matter how powerful a needle was, could it be more powerful than the attack power of a sword? It was impossible. The Huang class students could not bear to watch. In a while, our class monitor will have to kneel to Insulian and admit her mistake. How will she be able to stay in Tianyuan Academy in the future? Not far away stood two old men. One of the old men said, Old Xiao, I'm afraid you've made a mistake this time. This Yoon Chujio's materialization is actually a needle. In the future, it will be a fatal flaw when facing real enemies. Chapter 1085. The Spirit Stone exploded. Old Jiang, that little girl has surprised us time and time again. I believe that it will be the same this time. Just wait and see. This little girl must have some tricks up her sleeves. Otherwise, her expression wouldn't be so calm. The two old men were Deputy Dean Xiao and Deputy Dean Jiang. They were the two instructors who had taught Yoon Chujio in the third round of the test. Deputy Dean Jiang did not think much of Deputy Dean Xiao's words. Old Xiao, aren't you too confident in this little girl? No matter how powerful a needle is, it can still have. Before Deputy Dean Jiang could finish his words, a loud boom was heard. Everyone was stunned on the spot. The Spirit Stone had exploded. It exploded. What did that mean? It meant that the attack power of Yoon Chujio's needle exceeded 1,000. How was that possible? Everyone looked at the display screen at the same time. There was a row of question marks on it. Obviously, it was caused by the explosion of the Spirit Stone. While everyone was stunned, Insulian shouted in panic, There must be a malfunction in the Spirit Stone. That must be it. Instructor Zhuang, is it because the Spirit Stone itself has cracks? Instructor Zhuang said unhappily, I have checked the Spirit Stone before using it. It was perfectly fine. It's not a problem with the Spirit Stone. If there isn't a problem with the Spirit Stone, does that mean that good-for-nothing Yoon Chujio produced a needle with more than 1,000 attack points? This is a huge joke. Insulian's face flushed red. She could not believe what she was seeing. Someone below the stage shouted, That's right, how can a needle have such great power? There must be a problem with the spirit stones. Let's test it again. Right? Let's test it again. Or else we won't be convinced by the result. Retest. Retest. The people who shouted were Yin Sulian and Yin Xinlian's followers. Of course, they did not want Yun Chuzhou to win, so they strongly requested a retest. Alright. In that case, let's use the intermediate level spirit stone to retest this time. Yin Sulian, do the test again. Instructor Zhuang was also a little hesitant. Although she had indeed checked the spirit stone before, how could Yun Chuzhiu's materialized needle have more than 1,000 attack points? Could it be that I missed something when I was checking? Yin Sulian glared at Yun Chuzhiu. I just let you take advantage of me just now. This time, I'll let you reveal your true colors. Yun Chuzhiu pursed her lips. Reveal my true colors? I'm not some demon who's hiding behind a disguise. Yin Sulian am a kind-hearted person. If you give up now, I'll still agree. When Yun Chuzhiu said that, Yin Sulian was even more certain that it was because of the spirit stones. She said disdainfully, don't even think about it. A needle competing against my sword? What a joke. Sigh. Alright, since you want to kneel and admit your mistake so badly, I won't stop you. Yun Chuzhiu said with a smile. Seeing Yun Chuzhiu's calm smile, Yin Sulian felt a little scared. Could it be that the needle that she materialized really had such great power? No, she must be faking it. It was impossible. Yin Sulian calmed herself down and walked to the designated area to attack the middle-grade spirit stones. Her materialized sword stabbed at the middle-grade spirit stones. The display quickly displayed the result of the attack. 515. It had 10 more attack power than before. Yin Sulian revealed a smug smile. This time she performed even better. Yun Chuzhou, you're going to lose for sure. Chapter 1086. Overwhelming power. After Yin Sulian's turn was over, it was Yun Chuzhiu's turn. She walked unsteadily to the designated area and casually waved her hand as she shot a small purple needle at the middle-grade spirit stone. The display still showed 0. Yin Sulian pursed her lips and said, I told you there was a problem with that spirit stone just now. How can a piece of trash from the Huang class surpass me? The people below the competition stage also discussed what they saw animatedly. It seemed that there was a problem with the spirit stone just now. How could the power of a needle be more powerful than a treasured sword? That simply did not make sense. Feng Ming and the others' hearts immediately jumped to their throats. Their originally ecstatic mood instantly fell to the bottom. Could it be that it was just an accident just now? At this moment, someone pointed at the screen and exclaimed, Look! Everyone looked up and saw the numbers on the screen start to soar. 100, 300, 500. Yin Sulian's face started to turn pale, especially when the number on the screen exceeded 500 and continued to soar. It was impossible. It was impossible. The number on the screen finally stopped at 1001. Everyone was stunned. What did 1001 mean? It meant that the small needle that Yun Chuzhou materialized had reached the level of an intermediate-level materialization user. Although it could not be directly compared, it had already crushed the power level range usually displayed by beginner-level materialization skills. Moreover, the most important thing was that Yun Chuzhou had only learned materialization for a month. She could no longer be described as a genius. She was a monster. In the distance, Deputy Dean Xiao smiled and said to Deputy Dean Jiang, Old man Jiang, how is it? This time you're convinced, right? During the test, I already felt that that little girl wasn't as she seemed. Now that I look at her, she's an amazing genius. Deputy Dean Jiang nodded in a daze. You're right. That little girl has a boundless future. However, she's still too weak right now. She still needs time to grow, and there will be a lot of hardships ahead. When has cultivation ever been smooth sailing? As long as the little girl is given time, she'll definitely be heaven's chosen comparable to His Excellency and young Master Wuji. Yun Chuzhou walked up to Yin Sulian and sneered. Yin Sulian, I've given you many chances, but it's a pity that you were so overconfident. Now it's time for you to fulfill your promise. 2 million high-grade spirit stones and kneeling to confess your crime. Hurry up. I still have other things to do in the afternoon. I don't have time to waste with you. Yin Sulian felt her mind go blank, and her face was as pale as a sheet. She felt as if she could not stand straight anymore. The 2 million spirit stones payment was fine, but a confession on her knees was absolutely impossible. If I kneel, I'll never be able to face anyone again. Just as Yin Sulian was in despair, Yin Xinlian leaped onto the stage. Yin Chuzhou, Sulian isn't sensible, just let her go. I'm willing to pay you another 2 million high-grade spirit stones. You're both batchmates, don't tell me you're going to be so heartless that she'll never recover? Yun Chuzhou glanced at Yin Xinlian. Yin Xinlian, do you know who I hate the most? I hate fake self-righteous people like you the most. What do you mean I'm going to let her go? What do you mean I'm heartless? Was I the one who suggested the competition? I gave Yin Sulian at least 3 chances to call off the competition. She was the one who insisted on it. Moreover, if the person who lost was me, do you think your precious sister would let me go? Besides, this contest is between the two of us. Please go away. You have no right to speak here. Chapter 1087. Life and Death Arena. Yin Xinlian grew so angry that her face turned red. She wished that she could kill Yun Chuzhou there and then. However, she was much smarter than Yin Sulian, so she sneered and said, Yun Chuzhou, I advise you not to be so ruthless. If you insist on letting Sulian carry out the bet today, I will issue a challenge to you. We will fight in the life and death arena. The crowd immediately exploded. God! Yun Chuzhou has completely angered Yin Xinlian. Fights in the life and death arena only ends one way, just like its namesake. Yin Xinlian is said to be at the first level of the Spirit Saint realm. Yun Chuzhou will definitely die at that time. However, doesn't the challenge order need to be signed by more than 80% of the students in the academy before it takes effect? Are you stupid? When that time comes, as long as Deputy Dinin pulls some strings, do you think no one will sign it? As long as 80% of the students sign it, Yun Chuzhou has no other choice but to accept the challenge and withdraw from the academy. TSK, according to what you said, it seems that Yun Chuzhou can only let Yin Sulian off today. Otherwise, she simply can't bear the consequences. Upon hearing her sister's words, Yin Sulian instantly regained her confidence. She fearlessly looked at Yun Chuzhou and she said, Yun Chuzhou, as my sister said, I'll transfer you 400,000 high-grade spirit stones, and well, forget about this matter once and for all. Otherwise, no matter how powerful trash from the Huang class is, they won't be able to stir up any waves. I will forever trample you under my feet. Yun Chuzhou's eyes deepened and she said indifferently, although I like spirit stones, I like seeing coquettish sluts like you kneel before me even more. Yin Sulian, if you are willing to gamble, you must also be willing to pay the price. Kneel and admit your mistake. The crowd exploded again. That Yun Chuzhou was not threatened by Yin Xinlian. Although her courage was commendable, was she not courting death? When the challenge token came into effect, it would be time for you to lose your life. Instructor Ji Sha could not hold it in any longer, and jumped onto the competition stage. He pulled Yun Chuzhou to the side and said, Yun Chuzhou, since you have already won, why are you so insistent on letting Yin Sulian kneel and admit her mistake? It's fine if you just take the 400,000 spirit stones. Otherwise, you will definitely die on the life and death arena. Instructor Ji Sha's words also represented the thoughts of Feng Ming and the others. That's right, they knew the consequences of not agreeing, so why should they put themselves in danger? Yun Chuzhou's small face suddenly turned serious. Instructor Ji Sha, I understand that you're doing this for my own good, but if I'm back down from fear today, then what's the point of my cultivation? Failure isn't scary. The scariest thing is that I don't even dare to face it. Furthermore, I don't think that I can't defeat Yin Xinlian. As far as I know, once the challenge order is in effect, the challenged can accept it at any time within half a year. It's enough for me to surpass Yin Xinlian in half a year. Ji Sha only felt that Yun Chuzhou's words were like a heavy hammer that struck him in the heart. He no longer tried to dissuade Yun Chuzhou. Instead, he staggered away from the stage. Yun Chuzhou frowned slightly. Her words had probably touched a nerve in Instructor Ji Sha's heart. It would be good if she could help him get over whatever was secretly troubling him. It was not just Instructor Ji Sha. Yun Chuzhou's words had shocked many students. That's right, their cultivation was already against the heavens. Why would they still cultivate if they were afraid of things? However, most people still thought that Yun Chuzhou was too impulsive. and she was too blindly confident. It was true that Yoon Chujie's talent was not bad, but there was no way she would reach the first level of the spiritual saint realm in half a year. Furthermore, Een Xinlian's spiritual power would continue to grow in that half year. How could she possibly catch up to her? Chapter 1088. Yoon Chujio was really evil. Een Xinlian said coldly, Yoon Chujio, although your courage is commendable, I advise you to think twice. This is a matter of life and death for you now. Yoon Chujio said indifferently, I also want to say this to you. Your sister is stupid, but I believe that you aren't. If you don't want to lose your life, don't provoke me. Een Xinlian sneered, you really don't know the immensity between heaven and earth. Yoon Chujio, I will give you one last chance. 400,000 spirit stones and this matter will be dropped. Otherwise, I will definitely issue a challenge to you. Yoon Chujio ignored her instead. She looked at Een Xinlian, whose face turned pale again. Een Xinlian, don't dawdle. Hurry up. Kneel and admit your mistake. Do you want to go back on your word? Back then you swore an inner demon oath. If you don't fulfill the promise, your soul will be shattered. Een Xinlian was afraid that Yoon Chujio would not admit her defeat, so she suggested that the two of them swear an inner demon oath. She did not expect that she would be implicated now. If one of them was willing to forgive her, then the inner demon oath would not take effect. However, if Yoon Chujio insisted on fulfilling the promise, Een Xinlian would be punished by Tiandao if she broke it. Een Xinlian looked at Een Xinlian for help. Een Xinlian gritted her teeth and said, Xinlian, keep to the agreement. Don't worry, I will avenge you for today's humiliation. Een Xinlian knew that she had no way out. With a pale face, she knelt on the stage and said to Yoon Chujio, I was wrong. Yoon Chujio said with a smile, Een Xinlian, this is not the first time you have knelt to me. Do you have to look like you are half dead? Admitting your mistakes is a huge improvement. I hope you'll learn to remember to not provoke me in the future. Otherwise, the next time you kneel won't be as simple as that. Oh right, if it wasn't for your sister's aggressive attitude, I wouldn't have made you kneel. After all, you even helped me pay for the competition fees previously. TSK, it's just a pity. Who asked you to have such an amazing sister? She had to come up and provoke me. If you want to blame someone, then blame her. The crowd below the stage felt a little cold for some reason. That Yoon Chujio was really evil. With those words, even if Een Xinlian did not end up hating Een Xinlian, she would start feeling uncomfortable around her. Moreover, Een Xinlian had been living in Een Xinlian's shadow the whole time, so she was probably already dissatisfied. As a result, a wedge would probably be driven between the Een sisters after that day. As expected, after Een Xinlian stood up, she handed over 200,000 upper-grade spirit stones to Yoon Chujio. She did not pay any attention to Een Xinlian and left the competition stage in a hurry. Een Xinlian's face flushed red. She turned around and said darkly to Yoon Chujio, Yoon Chujio, it seems that I've underestimated you. You actually dared to sow discord between us sisters. You're truly vicious to the extreme. I won't forgive you. I'll see you on the life and death arena. Een Xinlian, ask yourself, have I ever provoked you sisters? It's all your fault. I gave you sisters a chance but you didn't take it. Now you're blaming me? You don't have to use the life and death arena to scare me. The one who will die will be you. If you don't believe me, well, see what happens, Yoon Chujio said indifferently. Yoon Chujio, no matter how glib your tongue is, it can't change the fact that you're weak. In half a year you'll be dead. After Een Xinlian said that, she jumped off the stage and left. Yoon Chujio bowed to the dumbfounded instructor Zhuang, and then jumped off the stage. She said to the Huang class, I've made a small fortune. Let's go to the canteen to get some food. Chapter 1089. Another beast taming class. Although the students of the Huang class were a little worried about Een Xinlian's challenge, they still cheerfully escorted Yoon Chujio to the canteen to celebrate. When the crowd saw that the two main characters of the competition had left, they also dispersed. Deputy Dean Jiang said to Deputy Dean Xiao, Old Xiao, this Yoon Chujio is good in every aspect, but she's too arrogant. Een Xinlian was also considered a rather talented student, and she had also entered the top 100 of roll of prodigies of the academy's students. It was possible that she could even make it into the top 10 within a few days. Wasn't Yoon Chujio seeking her own death? I like this little girl's fearless spirit. Think about it, wasn't His Excellency and young Master Wuji the same back then? They had caused quite a bit of trouble back in the academy, especially when young Master Wuji had openly eaten in the library and damaged the cover of an ancient book. Now, didn't he one of the best in the Tianyuan continent? Those who followed the rules have become ordinary people. As for this genius, she has to have some character. Deputy Dean Xiao stroked his beard and said, "That little girl's courage is certainly commendable, but the gap between her and Yin Xinlian's strength is too large. It's impossible for her to succeed in a cross-level challenge. Unless she reaches the first level of the Spirit Saint realm within half a year, no matter how heaven-defying she is, she can't win. She was still too impulsive. Moreover, that rascal Jisha was muddled by that little girl's words. Ever since that incident, he's as good as crippled." Deputy Dean Jiang sighed repeatedly. "Old Jiang, you are a good person in every aspect, but you are too pessimistic. Believe me, that little girl Yoon Chujio will give us a pleasant surprise. As for Jisha, after being in a slump for such a long time, it's time for him to pull himself together." "I hope so." Ever since the competition ended, Yoon Chujio had become famous in Tianyuan Academy. Almost all the instructors and students knew that there was a freak in the first grade's Huang class. Even the news of Yoon Chujio's entrance exam had spread, not to mention the matter of her beating up the seniors and hanging herself at the disciplinary department. Wherever Yoon Chujio went, there would be people who whispered about her. Yoon Chujio had long been used to it and did not take it seriously. When she was in a good mood, she would even take the initiative to wave her hands at everyone like a celebrity. It was another day of beast taming classes. Yoon Chujio had just arrived at the entrance of the Spirit Beast Garden when she felt a malicious gaze. She raised her head and saw Yin Sulian glaring at her. Yin Sulian had been depressed for a few days since the contest. She did not know how Yin Xinlian communicated with her. Anyway, after a few days, Yin Sulian started to jump around again, as if she was not affected by the matter of her kneeling at all. Yoon Chujio could not help but click her tongue in wonder. That Yin Sulian is quite resilient, and that Yin Xinlian really could not be underestimated. Yoon Chujio, just you wait. Half a year later, it will be your time to die. Yin Sulian wished she could strangle Yoon Chujio to death. Before she met Yoon Chujio, she had never suffered such a setback, let alone publicly kneel or admit to her mistakes. Yoon Chujio completely ignored Yin Sulian, as if she did not see her. She chatted and laughed with Feng Ming and the other two as they entered the Spirit Beast Garden. What Yoon Chujio did was like a hard slap to Yin Sulian's face, and her face flushed red. She wished she could chase after Yoon Chujio and kill her with a sword. However, when she remembered what Yin Xinlian said, she tried her best to suppress her anger as they entered the Spirit Beast Garden. Everyone followed Instructor Qian to the courtyard where the demonic beast eggs were hatched. The class was still on the topic of trying to establish a spiritual connection with the demonic beast eggs. The instructors in the Spirit Beast Garden had already attributed the last demonic beast egg riot to the heavenly lightning, so everything went on as usual. The students began to practice in batches. Yoon Chujio waited her turn at the back of the line. This time she did not dare to be too adventurous. She was afraid that the strange grass would cause trouble again, so she obediently waited at the back. Chapter 1090. A sudden kick to the gut. Although the previous batches of students were very serious in their practice, none of them were able to establish a spiritual connection with the demonic beast egg. However, that was also according to expectations. After all, they had only attended 3 beast taming classes so far. If they wanted to successfully establish a connection with the demonic beast egg, they would need at least a few months of practice before they would be successful. Finally, it was Yoon Chujio's turn. She had not officially practiced before. The first time it was because of the demonic beast egg riot, and the second time it was because she had asked for a leave of absence after she agreed to compete with Yin Sulian. Therefore, she excitedly walked to the front and began to practice. She was full of confidence in herself. She felt that a genius like her would definitely succeed after practicing a few times. Unexpectedly, after trying for a while, The demonic beast egg that she practiced with did not have any reaction at all. It was almost time to end the class. Instructor Qian said, "All right. You guys can return to your groups. We'll continue practicing next time." Yun Chujio was unwilling, but she could only do as she was told in a sullen mood. Instructor Qian gave some notes and announced the end of the class. Yun Chujio followed the crowd and walked out. Coincidentally, she had just walked past the barbaric bear's beast house when she saw the third-grade students. It turned out that they also had a beast-taming class today. Instructor Qian just happened to finish the first-grade beast-taming class and went straight to the third-grade beast-taming class. Yun Chujio lowered her head and pondered over the reason for her failure just now. Then she heard someone say with disdain, "Yo, isn't that the famous Yun Chujio? You have a big heart. Your death will be in half a year. And you still have the mood to take a beast-taming class? Don't tell me you think that you can learn beast-taming after cleaning the beast house for 2 days." Yun Chujio raised her head and looked up. The one who spoke was Wu Heng. After Wu Heng had embarrassed himself last time, the more he thought about it, the more he felt that it was Yun Chujio's doing. In his heart he hated Yun Chujio. Moreover, he secretly liked Yin Xinlian, who was in the same class as him. Yun Chujio had embarrassed Yin Xinlian in front of everyone, and that made him hate Yun Chujio even more. When he saw Yun Chujio, he could not help but mock her. Yun Chujio was already in a bad mood. Now that Wu Heng had provoked her, all her anger was vented on him. "Wu Heng, if it weren't for me, you would have been kicked out of Tianyuan Academy long ago. Not only are you ungrateful, but you even repaid my kindness with enmity. You're worse than a demon beast. Get lost." Wu Heng had not expected Yun Chujio to suddenly humiliate him in front of everyone. He got so angry that his face turned red. "Yun Chujio, don't look at how you won against Yin Sulian. If you have the ability, you can compete with me in beast taming." "Compete with you in beast taming? I probably can't compete with you. After all, you look so much like a bear. Perhaps you guys are even related. How can I compete with you?" Yun Chujio said with a smile, "Little fellow, you want to compete with my glib tongue? I don't even have to swear when I scold people." When everyone heard Yun Chujio's words, they could not help but laugh out loud. Wu Heng grew even more embarrassed. He gritted his teeth and he said, "Yun Chujio, you piece of trash. It's useless to talk nonsense. To put it bluntly, you just don't dare to compete with me. Your Huang class is trash. Your Azure Mystic Continent is the trashiest among trash." Yun Chujio's small face immediately sank. "Wu Heng, you've provoked me several times, but I didn't lower myself to your level. Apologize to me immediately, or I won't forgive you." "Apologize? Not forgive me? Yun Chujio, what right do you have to say that? Who do you think you are?" Wu Heng said arrogantly. Yun Chujio suddenly moved forward and kicked Wu Heng in the stomach. Wu Heng did not expect Yun Chujio to suddenly kick him without a word and break the rules of the academy. Yun Chujio kicked him more than 10 feet away without any warning and he slumped to the ground in a sorry state. Chapter 1091. A waste of time. Everyone was stunned. Yun Chujio was too daring. She dared to blatantly violate the academy's rules. She had just beaten up her senior again. Yin Sulian was secretly delighted. That Yun Chujio was really an idiot. She did not even need her sister to trouble herself to issue a challenge. She dared to beat up her senior so she would face the consequences soon. Not only did she violate the academy's rules, but that Wu Heng was also Instructor Wu's nephew. Instructor Wu would not let her off so easily. Wu Heng climbed up in a sorry state and shouted, "Yun Chujio, you dared to beat me up. This is a violation of the rules of the academy. I'll go to the disciplinary department to report you. Just wait to receive your punishment." Yun Chujio curled her lips. She said indifferently, "Go ahead. You'd better go and report it to Instructor Yuan. I believe that Instructor Yuan will remember some interesting memories. Moreover, I have a good memory, so I remember some things very clearly. Moreover, I believe that those vermilion-beaked long-feather cranes will also help me testify." Wu Heng was stunned for a moment before he said in a flustered and exasperated manner, "Yun Chujio, don't think that you can blackmail me just like that. You know very well what exactly happened last time." "You know very well? Didn't you already investigate the truth last time? Are you questioning Instructor Yuan or your uncle Instructor Wu? Or do you think that the cranes are lying? If you have the ability, go ahead and sue me. Oh wait. Yun Chujia's small face was full of arrogance. She was certain that Wu Heng would not dare to report her. Wu Heng gritted his teeth. Yun Chujio, don't be so arrogant. If you have the guts, then compete with me in beast taming. Otherwise, you'll be admitting that your Huang class and the Azure Mystic Continent are trash. Wu Heng, do you still have any shame? You're a third-year student, and you want to compete with a new student who just attended 2 classes. You're shameless. I don't have the time to bother with you. Stand aside. Yun Chujio was not stupid, it was different from competing with Yin Sulian. The difference was too great, so only a fool would agree. Wu Heng looked at Yun Chujio's back and gnashed his teeth in anger. Yun Chujio, I won't forgive you. Let's wait and see. Another 3 days passed. That morning it was another day for beast taming class. Yun Chujio and the others followed Instructor Qian to the yard where the demonic beast eggs were located. Instructor Qian saw the instructor inside and was stunned. Instructor Bai? Isn't Instructor Du always in charge of the hatching of the demonic beast egg? Instructor Bai frowned unhappily. Instructor Qian, although I'm not that talented, I'm still an instructor of the Spirit Beast Garden. Do you have a problem with me being transferred here? Instructor Bai, you misunderstand. I'm just a little surprised. Please forgive me. Instructor Qian felt that what he said just now was indeed a little abrupt, so he quickly apologized. Instructor Bai snorted coldly. Forget it. I'm not a petty person. You guys can start the lesson. Although Instructor Qian was a little uncomfortable, he could not say much since he was in the wrong. He proceeded with the class. Instructor Qian first answered some of the students' questions, then explained some things to take note of so that everyone could practice in groups. Yun Chujio was still in the last group. She had thought about it ever since the last class, but she could not figure it out. She itched to try it again. Finally, it was Yun Chujio's turn. She tried but failed once again, and returned to the group unhappily. Instructor Qian encouraged everyone and announced the end of the class. Just as Yun Chujio was about to leave with the others, Instructor Bai stopped her. Oh. Chapter 1092. Demon Beast Eggs going crazy. Yun Chujio, I heard that you have cleaned the beast house before. It just so happens that I need to clean this place as well. You stay and help me clean. Don't worry, your efforts won't be for nothing. I will reward you with 100 contribution points. 100 contribution points? Yun Chujio's eyes immediately lit up. The Tianyuan Academy's library required one to amass a certain amount of contribution points to be able to enter, and the channels for first-year students to obtain contribution points were limited. If I could obtain 100 contribution points, I could enter the library as many times as I wanted. It was worth it. Since I have nothing to do anyway, let's do it. Yun Chujio thought about it and nodded happily. After greeting Feng Ming and the other two, she put on the self-made gas mask, took the cleaning tools prepared by Instructor Bai, and started to clean the shed of the demon beast eggs. While Yun Chujio was cleaned earnestly, suddenly, several demon beast eggs broke through the array formation and rushed toward Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio was in a dilemma. Although those demon beast eggs had not hatched yet, if so many demon beast eggs hit her, she would either die or be injured. However, if she used her spiritual power to attack them, their shells would be broken. If the shells of the demon beast eggs were broken, they would die without a doubt, and then she would inevitably be punished. The entire thought process happened in a flash. Yun Chujio quickly made a decision, and that was to run. Yun Chujio rushed out of the courtyard gate and ran all the way. As she ran, she cursed at the strange grass. Fuck? Strange grass. Did you do this? Stop right now. The strange grass trembled innocently. What the fuck, it wasn't it. It wasn't caused by the strange grass? Yun Chujio quickly thought of something. The original Instructor Du was replaced by Instructor Bai, and he even took the initiative to ask her to help clean up. Previously, Wu Heng had even said some harsh words. Could it be a trap? It must be so, otherwise how would the array formation of the demon beast eggs fail so easily? Either she was seriously injured by the demon beast eggs, or she destroyed them. Either outcome was unfavorable for her. Fuck damn you, Wu Heng, just you wait, I won't let you off. Although several thoughts flashed through Yoon Chujia's mind, she kept running and soon rushed out of the spirit beast garden. The passing students and instructors were all dumbfounded. Fuck! What was going on? They saw Yoon Chujio as she ran ahead, followed closely by a large group of demon beast eggs. The small ones were only the size of a fist while the big ones were even bigger than Yoon Chujio. Not only were there white ones but there were also red, yellow and green ones. Yoon Chujio shouted as she ran, "Get out of the way! Get out of the way! Quickly get out of the way! These demon beast eggs are crazy. Quickly help me send a message to Instructor Qian. There will definitely be a reward." Everyone looked at each other. Damn it, this was the first time they had seen such a spectacle. What was going on? Why did the demon beast eggs chase Yoon Chujio? Was that not a really crazy situation? No, even if the eggs were crazy, they would have attacked everyone, so why did they go after Yoon Chujio? What Yoon Chujio did not know was that Instructor Bai was also dumbfounded. He had indeed received Instructor Wu's order to deal with Yoon Chujio. He secretly sprinkled some beast-luring incense on the tools that were attractive to the demon beasts, and also tweaked the array formation. That way, Yoon Chujio would either be killed by the demon beast eggs, or she would be in big trouble. However, he did not expect Yoon Chujio to react so quickly. She had rushed out of the courtyard so quickly that he did not even have time to make his move. What was even more unexpected was that those demon beast eggs had flown out after her. Chapter 1093. Am not your mother. That's impossible. The effect of the beast-luring incense is limited. How did those demon beast eggs fly out with Yoon Chujio? Oh no, this has gotten out of hand. I have to quickly consult Instructor Wu. Instructor Bai wiped the sweat off his forehead and quickly went to look for Instructor Wu. At that moment, Yoon Chujio had already run to Dean Huangfu's courtyard in one breath. She was already used to using that place as her sanctuary. Big brother guard. Big brother guard. Quickly let me in. The demon beast eggs have gone crazy. Yoon Chujio shouted. That burly guard was scared silly. Fuck. Why was it that every time this little girl came, she was always in a rush? The last time she brought about more than 10 hours of heavenly lightning. This time it was hundreds of demon beast eggs. Yoon Chujio did not have the time to say anything and barged into the courtyard. Dean Sir, help. The demon beast eggs have gone crazy. Dean Huangfu heard Yoon Chujio's shouts and left the study room. First, he saw the little girl barge in while in a hurry. Then hundreds of demon beast eggs of different sizes flew or jumped over. The corner of Dean Huangfu's eyes twitched violently. What happened to this little girl was always so unbelievable. He hurriedly released his spiritual pressure. Under the immense pressure, the demon beast eggs trembled and stopped moving. Yoon Chujio saw that the demon beast eggs had been intimidated by Dean Huangfu's pressure. She quickly took advantage of the situation. With one hand on her waist and the other pointing at the demon beast eggs, she cursed, "You idiots, am not your mother. Why are you chasing me for no reason?" The corner of Dean Huangfu's eyes twitched again. This little girl was shameless. He coughed dryly and asked, "Yoon Chujio, what's going on?" Yoon Chujio's expression immediately changed from one of arrogance and anger to a pitiful look. Dean, am also puzzled. I was cleaning the place, but then these demon beast eggs suddenly attacked me. Although I can use my spiritual power to attack them, I thought that being treasures of our academy, I hesitated. I have to consider the overall situation first after all. Therefore, I endured the humiliation and risked my life to run all the way here to seek your help. Dean Huangfu cursed in his heart. This little girl at such a time still made herself look like a saint. He did not know whether to praise her for being calm or thick-skinned. At the time, Instructor Qian rushed over when he heard the news. Just as he walked to Yoon Chujio's side, he smelled beast-luring incense on her. Instructor Qian frowned. Why do you smell like beast-luring incense? Yoon Chujio's face first revealed a surprised and puzzled expression. Then she angrily said, "Someone must have framed me. Dean Sir, you have to stand up for me. I'm such a kind and honest person, yet someone framed me. Won't the other students and instructors feel even more insecure?" Dean Huangfu and Instructor Qian looked at each other. They both had the same thought in their hearts. You're really shameless. How can you be so honest with your thorny head? If this were true honesty, there wouldn't be any more dishonest people in Tianyuan Academy. However, there was actually someone who used the Academy's demon beast egg as a means of framing people. His heart was truly excruciating. He was too bold. Dean Huangfu's face was as dark as water. Just as he was about to send a message to Deputy Dean Jiang, Instructor Wu arrived with Instructor Bai. The moment Instructor Bai entered the courtyard, he asked with concern, Yun Chuzhou, are you all right? This is all my fault. I'm really sorry. I did not perform my duty well enough. Dean, please punish me. This is all my fault. Chapter 1094. How to deal with this. Oh, what's going on? Dean Huangfu's face was gloomy as he stared at Instructor Bai. Instructor Bai wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. I just made the beast guiding incense yesterday. After I was done, I kept it in my storage ring. I hadn't expected the bottle stopper to fall off, spilling the incense onto the cleaning tools. Therefore, when Yun Chuzhou used those cleaning tools to clean the beast house, it caused the demon beast eggs to go berserk. Instructor Bai, as far as I know, the shed where those demon beast eggs are located has a protective array. How did these demon beast eggs get past that? Questioned Instructor Qian. As a beast master, Instructor Qian held these demon beast eggs in high regard. He did not believe Instructor Bai's nonsense at all. Instructor Bai mentally scoffed at Instructor Qian for being nosy. However, he still explained, to make Yun Chuzhou clean faster, I loosened the array of those sheds a little. Anyway, I saw no harm in doing that. I didn't expect the situation with the beast luring incense. This is indeed negligence on my part. I am willing to accept any punishment from the Academy. Dean Huangfu remained silent after hearing Instructor Bai's words. Instructor Wu said from the side, Dean, this matter indeed involves some negligence in the spirit beast garden. However, Instructor Bai's actions were completely unintentional. I hope that Dean can be lenient with him. Yun Chuzhou, who watched at the side, had already confirmed that it was a conspiracy by Wu Shi's uncle and nephew against her. She sneered in her heart, very well. Since you guys took the initiative to provoke me, don't blame me for being inconsiderate. Just as Dean Huangfu was about to deal with Instructor Bai, Deputy Dean Yin and the others arrived. As soon as he entered the courtyard, Deputy Dean Yin said, Instructor Bai didn't do it on purpose, and it didn't cause any consequences. Let's give him a lighter punishment. Dean Huangfu's eyes darkened as he said indifferently, since Deputy Dean Yin has said so, then let's punish Instructor Bai by deducting half a year's monthly salary. Yun Chuzhou suffered an unexpected disaster, and we will compensate you with 100 contribution points. Yun Chuzhou said sneakily, Dean, Instructor Bai promised me that he would reward me with 100 contribution points for cleaning the beast house. I wonder if it still counts? Dean Huangfu said with a laugh, of course it counts. I'll reward you with a total of 200 contribution points then. Thank you, Dean. Yun Chuzhou said and jumped in front of the demon beast eggs. She put her hands on her hips and said, idiots. Did you all hear that? The reason why you were tortured here has nothing to do with me. If you have your grievances, don't take it out on me. Moreover, if I had used my spiritual power to attack you, you would have all died a long time ago. Therefore, I am your savior and your biological parent. You should learn to be more obedient in the future. Can't you have some self-control? Can't you resist the beast-luring incense for a little bit? I will teach you a mantra. Listen carefully, emptiness is fragrance, the fragrance is emptiness. Those demon beast eggs were confused. At first, they were indeed attracted by the scent of beast-luring incense, but later, they smelled a very attractive fragrance on her body. Although it was very faint, the last time they smelled this kind of fragrance it disappeared abruptly. A mere scent of beast-luring incense would not make them chase her so far. Moreover, the air was filled with the fragrance. What kind of bullshit was in the air? However, the little girl was right about one thing. There was someone behind this. It was that human surnamed Bai who had tricked them. If they had a chance, they would take revenge. Yun Chuzhou used a few words and successfully planted the seeds of hatred in the hearts of those demon beast eggs. Only then did she leave Dean Huangfu's courtyard. When those demon beast eggs saw Yun Chujo leave, although they wanted to go after her, they were intimidated by Dean Huangfu's spirit pressure, and could only reluctantly be brought back to the spirit beast garden by Instructor Wu. Chapter 1095. A combination of the two. After Yun Chujo walked out of Dean Huangfu's courtyard, she saw a lot of onlookers. She rolled her eyes, then cupped her hands towards the crowd. Dear students, please bear witness. A few days ago, Wu Heng of the 3rd grade's Tian class shamelessly proposed to have a beast taming competition with me. I didn't agree. However, after this latest incident, I've decided to agree to his competition. Otherwise, my life would continue to be in danger. The onlookers were a little dumbfounded at first. They had not known what Yun Chujo meant when she said that. There was a clever one who whispered, I understand. Think about it, who is Wu Heng's uncle? Wu Heng's uncle? Isn't his uncle Instructor Wu from the Spirit Beast Garden? That's it. Why would the demon beast egg go crazy for no reason? Think about it carefully. Could it be because Yun Chujo didn't agree with Wu Heng's competition request, so Instructor Wu? I didn't say anything. As long as you and I know it clearly, it's fine. Yun Chujo was forced into a corner, so she could only agree to Wu Heng's request. Otherwise, something might have happened. In her heart, Yun Chujo gave a thumbs up to the student who spoke first. What a talent! That was exactly what she wanted. Although she could not find any evidence that Wu Shi's uncle and nephew had harmed her, she had to first build up some public opinion. When the time came, she only needed an opportunity to take advantage of them. Wu Heng also stood amongst the crowd. When he heard what the crowd had discussed, he was about to explode. He squeezed out of the crowd and said fiercely, Yun Chujo, what do you mean? Yun Chujo trembled for a moment and revealed a fearful expression. Wu Heng, I don't mean anything. I've agreed to your competition request. I don't want to be chased and attacked by the demon beast egg anymore. What does your being attacked by the demon beast egg have to do with me? Could it be that you are implying that I framed you? Wu Heng said with a stern expression but a timid tone. I didn't say that. You said it yourself. Students, you must take me as a warning. Some people really shouldn't be offended. Otherwise, their lives will be in danger. Yun Chujo said pitifully. When the onlookers heard Yun Chujio's words, most of them glared at Wu Heng angrily. People sympathized with the weak, especially after they saw Yun Chujo being chased by the demon beast eggs. They were dissatisfied with Wu Shi's uncle and nephew. Could it be that that uncle and nephew duo had the power to casually frame others? It was too much. Wu Heng gnashed his teeth in anger. He knew that his eloquence could not compare to Yun Chujo. He sneered and said, Yun Chujo, very good. Since you promised to compete with me, then we will have a 2-hour competition in 3 days. The Spirit Beast Park has a beast taming training course. When the time comes, we will each choose a level 16 demon beast, and let it complete the course in the prescribed order. Whoever can complete it first will win. The loser will kneel and admit their mistake as well as compensate 2 million upper-grade spirit stones to the winner. Yun Chujo rolled her eyes and curled her lips. Why does this condition sound so familiar to me? Isn't this the bet between Yin Sulian and me? Could it be that you like Yin Sulian? No. It should be that you should like Yin Xinlian. TSK. Careful not to bite off more than you can chew. I guess that Yin Xinlian doesn't even look at you, right? You even think that you're sentimental and want to stand up for her. You're really cheap. Wu Heng's face turned red and he was so angry that he almost fainted. You're talking nonsense. It's not like what you said at all. I just can't stand your arrogance. TSK, your red face and stammering say otherwise. You still don't want to admit it. Actually, the two of you are quite a good match. You're both examples of shamelessness. A dignified third-year student of the Tian class challenged a new student like me. It's a combination of the two. Yun Chujo said with a smile. Chapter 1096. The truth about the crane's tail feathers. Yun Chujo, cut the crap. Do you dare to agree to my request? If you do, swear an inner demon oath immediately. If you don't, scram. Yun Chujo had exposed Wu Heng's hidden thoughts. He wished he could kill Yun Chujo right now. However, due to the rules of the academy, he had no choice but to restrain himself. Junior sister Little Jiu. Class monitor. Feng Ming's group and the students of the Huang class all looked at Yun Chujo. The meaning was obvious. Their looks told Yun Chujo not to be impulsive. Yun Chujo smiled at them, then she said casually, "What's there to be afraid of? I'll agree to it." Yun Chujo began to swear in her heart, "By the heavenly Tao, I, Yun Chujo, hereby swear that if I lose the match with Wu Heng, I will kneel and admit my mistake and pay him 2 million high-grade spirit stones. If I violate this oath, I will be struck by lightning. Wu Heng, I have finished swearing. It's your turn." Yun Chujo said with a smile. She secretly thought to herself, "Humph, I can't wait for lightning to strike me. Even if I really lose, I will never admit my mistake. You can't do anything about it." Wu Heng did not know that there were so many twists and turns in this matter. He also swore an inner demon oath and left after saying those harsh words. When Feng Ming and the other 2 students of the Huang class heard that Yun Chujo had agreed to the competition, they could only sigh and did not know what else to say. Now they could only hope that Yun Chujo would create another miracle. Dean Huangfu and the others watched the whole process in the courtyard, each with their own thoughts. Deputy Dean Yin and the others naturally gnashed their teeth, hoping that Wu Heng would kill Yun Chujo during the competition. Dean Huangfu and the others were a little worried that Yun Chujo really did not know the immensity of heaven and earth. She had only gone through 3 beast-taming lessons, yet she dared to agree to Wu Heng's challenge, who had learned beast-taming techniques for 3 years, to have a competition. There was no suspense at all about the result of the competition. This time she would definitely lose. She was too impulsive. Just when everyone was lost in their own thoughts, they did not expect Yun Chujo to jump in again. "Instructor Qian, please come over. I have something to ask you." Instructor Qian did not understand and followed Yun Chujo out of the courtyard. He asked curiously, "Yun Chujo, what is it you wanted to ask?" "Instructor Qian, please work hard. Use these 2 days to explain the rest of the beast-taming class to me. I won't let your hard work amount to nothing. Here are 1 million upper-grade spirit stones. Please accept it." Yun Chujo was quite generous when she should be. Instructor Qian was different from Instructor Ji Sha. The 2 of them were not friends. They could not let the other party get something out of nothing. Instructor Qian was angry and happy. "Little girl, you are very generous. I don't want your spirit stones. I just want to know one thing. How did you pull out the tail feathers of the crane group back then?" Yun Chujo thought in her heart that it was good that she had activated the isolation array. Otherwise it would be bad if others heard her. She giggled. "It's very simple. I sprinkled some sleeping powder on their food. They were raised by humans for a long time and were not suspicious of their food at all. They were tricked by me. I plucked all their tail feathers the minute they all fell asleep." Instructor Qian's jaw dropped. "Then how did you get them to testify against Wu Heng?" Instructor Qian was very confused. "It was very simple. I threatened them. If they dared to testify against me, I would pluck the rest of their feathers. Even if I was fired, I would have a way to get others to help me do it. If they didn't want to run around naked, they had to listen to me. Moreover, Wu Heng happened to want to try taming them, so the crane group vented their anger at him." Instructor Qian almost dislocated his jaw. Chapter 1097. Demon beasts are terrified of evildoers. Instructor Qian, I have answered all your questions. Will you agree to teach me the beast taming technique? Yun Chujo saw Instructor Qian's dumbfounded face and could only ask. Instructor Qian nodded blankly and had a vague idea in his heart. Perhaps such a little devil was more suitable to practice the beast taming technique, because not only were humans afraid of evildoers, demon beasts were also terrified of evildoers. Great! Thank you, Instructor Qian. Let's find a place to study. I know a classroom that is empty in the afternoon. Let's practice there. Yun Chujo hopped in front to lead the way. Instructor Qian shook his head slightly and followed her. Two people stood not far away and stared at Yun Chujo's back with vicious expressions. Sister, why did you stop me just now? That Yun Chujia's words are too mean. Yin Sulian said angrily. If you can't bear it, then you'll mess up the plan. There's no need to argue with her. Wu Heng will not let her off. We just need to wait and see, Yin Xinlian said coldly. Yin Sulian gritted her teeth. That Yun Chuzhou deserves to die. Sister, what did fourth grandpa say about the challenge? Fourth grandpa has already arranged for the relevant instructors to get the students to sign it. I believe that the challenge will take effect soon. Even if Wu Heng can't do anything to that bitch this time, I will kill her in half a year. Yin Xinlian's eyes flashed viciously. Sister, when Wu Heng competes with her, even if Yun Chuzhou loses, she will only kneel. It's too easy for her. Yin Sulian curled her lips and said, Humph. It won't be that simple. Wu Heng must hate Yun Chuzhou to the core. He will definitely do something to the demon beasts. He will very likely order the demon beasts to attack Yun Chuzhou. At that time, Yun Chuzhou will either end up dead or injured. Let's just wait and prepare to watch a good show. Yun Chuzhou and Instructor Qian came to an empty classroom. It was the classroom where Instructor Jisha had taught Yun Chuzhou the materialization of spiritual power. Instructor Qian sighed. Yun Chuzhou, although you have many ideas, I honestly don't have much confidence in you in the competition 3 days later. Right now, you haven't even learned how to establish a spiritual connection with the demon beast egg. Not to mention that you need to control a level 16 demon beast during the competition. How can you win? It's all in the hands of the practitioner. At most, I'll just admit defeat. Isn't it just kneeling and admitting my mistake? It's a piece of cake. Yun Chuzhou said indifferently. She thought to herself, if I really can't do it, I'll still use that trick to activate the concealment talisman and beat Wu Heng up. I like it the most when it's simple and crude. When Instructor Qian heard Yun Chuzhou say that, he shook his head and said, if that's the case, then let's leave everything to fate. It'll teach you the elementary beast taming technique. Actually, it isn't complicated, it just requires constant practice. What Wu Heng has mastered is only the elementary beast taming technique. Instructor Qian used only 6 hours to teach the elementary beast taming technique to Yun Chuzhou. As Instructor Qian said, the elementary beast taming technique wasn't too complicated. The only difficult part was how to establish a spiritual connection with the demon beast, and to tame it to prevent it from backfiring on the user. After she thanked Instructor Qian, Yun Chuzhou hopped back to her dormitory. She decided to test it on the low-level demon beasts in the Great Void Mystic Realm. However, what disappointed her was that even if it was a low-level demon beast, she was unable to establish a spiritual connection with it. In a fit of anger, she killed the level 8 fire-breathing ash wolf, and then roasted it with the 3 silly munchkins to eat. The flaming 3-tailed fox king's eyes lit up. Chapter 1098. The library. The demon beast meat from the beasts inside the Great Void Mystic Realm was much tastier than the ones outside. The 4 foodies ate until their mouths were greasy. Brr. Master, what are you going to do if you can't learn beast taming on time? Brr. Little Black Bird asked Yun Chuzhou while he constantly burped. There are still 2 days left. I'll practice again. If it doesn't work, I'll beat him up. Anyway, I want kneel to that idiot. Brr. Master, then why did you have to agree to compete with that Wu Heng? Our chances of winning are not great. Little Black Bird asked in confusion. Humph. What happened today must be a trap set by Wu Shi's uncle and nephew. Since they have already made their move, I might as well take the initiative to attack to avoid falling into an unfavorable situation. That Wu Heng hates me to the bone now. He will definitely do something during the competition. When the time comes, he might even drag that instructor Wu into it. Then I can kill 2 birds with 1 stone, Yun Chuzhou said indifferently. Little Black Bird and the other 2 shivered. Their black-hearted master seemed to be getting more and more evil. They had to be obedient in the future. Otherwise, they would be in big trouble. Master, although your idea is good, what should we do about this competition? Moreover, if Wu Heng does something underhanded, what if you get hurt? Little Black Bird said carefully. What you said makes sense. However, I haven't thought of any good ideas for the time being. Anyway, there are still 2 days left. There's no rush. Let's go to bed first. After saying that, Yun Chujo yawned and went into the room to sleep. The three silly munchkins looked at each other. This girl was really big-hearted. She probably wouldn't get angry even if the sky fell. The next morning there was a spiritual power class. Yun Chujo attended as if nothing had happened. After class, Instructor Jisha called Yun Chujo to the side. Do you think you have a chance of winning the match between you and Wu Heng? Since the conversation on the stage last time, Instructor Jisha seemed to have changed. His clothes started to become neat, but that was all. Yun Chujo shook her head honestly. Not yet. Do you need my help? Not yet. Thank you, Instructor Jisha. Then be careful. After Instructor Jisha said that, he left just like that. Yun Chujo touched her nose. Damn, did he feel at ease with her or did he give up on her? He left just like that? Yun Chujo thought of the 200 contribution points she had just received and decided to go to the Tianyuan Academy's library to try her luck. She wanted to see if she could find any inspiration among the books. She hopped into the library and saw the unremarkable 3-story building in front of her. She couldn't help but feel a little puzzled. This Tianyuan Academy's library was quite shabby, wasn't it? This library wasn't as imposing as the Spirit Radiant Sect's library. After Yun Chujo handed her identity jade token to the instructor in charge of the library, she walked in. She could not help but exclaim in surprise when she saw what was inside. So that's how it was. It turned out that there was another world inside the unremarkable 3-story small building. It was like another dimension. After one stepped in, one would be transported to the corresponding floor, making it very convenient. Yun Chujo chose a beast-taming book and was immediately transported to the corresponding 4th floor. The bookshelf was full of jade slips and sheepskin books about beast-taming techniques. Yun Chujo held the principle that she would rather kill 1,000 by mistake than let one go. She started reading from the beginning. She flipped through the book as she speedily read the contents. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. She quickly finished reading a row of books and then began to read the ones on the second row. Chapter 1099. The essence of the beast-taming technique. Yun Chujo initially went to the library to find inspiration. However, after she read the various books, she grew addicted. She felt that the beast-taming technique was even more interesting than she thought. It was not too late for her to get to learn more. Time passed quickly. Yun Chujo read and read until the next morning. It was not until Little Black Bird urged her that she regained his senses. These books are really interesting. I'll ask Instructor Jisha for a leave of absence. I'll continue reading today instead of attending class. After saying that, Yun Chujo took out her identity jade token and asked Instructor Jisha for permission to take a leave of absence. She then picked up another book and began to read once more. Another day passed, and it was already the night of the next day. Little Black Bird said anxiously, "Master, the time for the competition is 2 o'clock tomorrow. Did you find any good ideas? If not, we have to go and beat them up soon." No hurry, no hurry. I'll keep looking. If it doesn't work out, I'll act like a scoundrel. Anyway, heavenly lightning can't kill me. I don't have any other talents except my thick skin, Yun Chujo said indifferently. Little Black Bird was speechless. Are these books that good? As for making you lose your face. It was not until the next morning that Yun Chujo stretched lazily and yawned. It's almost late. I can only come again when I have time. The ancients had not deceived me. As expected, the books were a goldmine of knowledge. Master, don't think about that nonsense. Have you found any inspiration? Little Black Bird felt that when he had been worried for his unimportant master, he had completely forgotten how unwilling he was to acknowledge her as his master back then. Reading the books was not for nothing. I have read so many beast-taming books and come to a conclusion. In fact, the so-called beast-taming technique is to force a spirit beast to acknowledge its master temporarily. Therefore, the beast-taming technique can only be used to control demon beasts with lower spiritual power than oneself. Master, although I think what you said makes sense, what does your conclusion have to do with the competition? It's almost time. What do you plan to do? Of course it has to do with me. Although I still can't establish a spiritual connection with the demon beasts, I can trick them. I don't believe that those demon beasts will cover their ears and not listen to me. As long as they are willing to listen, I have a way to trick them. I'll go to the canteen for breakfast first, and then go to the beast-taming field in the spirit beast garden. Little Black Bird listened to Yunchujia's words and was dumbfounded. Master, since you are going to trick them anyway, then why are you still learning the beast-taming technique? What are you playing at? Little Black Bird had misunderstood Yunchujio. Yunchujio meant to bluff the demon beast first, and then use the beast-taming technique to control it. That would increase the chances of controlling the demon beast. Yunchujio hopped to the teleportation array. A white light flashed and she disappeared. At the time, a dry old man appeared out of thin air on the 4th floor of the library. Looking at Yunchujia's back, he muttered, "Was that little girl reading or just flipping through books? Can she remember everything just by flipping through it? The books she read seemed to be all about beast taming. Could it be that she wants to become a beast-taming master? A beast-taming master with a heavenly thunder root spirit is worth looking forward to." At the Tianyuan Academy, beast-taming field. At that moment, the beast-taming field was filled with noise. Only during the semester assessment or the academy celebration would the beast-taming field be open to the public. However, to make Yunchujio even more embarrassed, Wu Heng allowed instructor Wu to make an exception and open the beast-taming field to the public. Students who had free time poured in to watch the commotion. Chapter 1100. Convinced there and then in the middle of the beast-taming field was a large clearing. The surrounding area was isolated by a formation, so it would not cause any harm to the onlookers. There were seats on 3 sides of the clearing. On the south side was a high platform. Wu Heng stood proudly on it and thought to himself, "Yunchujio, you still dare to fight me? You are asking for trouble. This time you will definitely lose." Since it was a competition, there naturally had to be a referee. To avoid suspicion, Wu Heng especially requested for Instructor Qian to be the referee. It was also an idea given to him by his uncle, Instructor Wu. He wanted Instructor Qian to be the referee so that he would not be accused of cheating or something like that. Wu Heng checked the time and saw it was almost time for the competition. Yunchujio had yet to show her face, so he reckoned that she would not dare to come. "Instructor Qian, Yunchujio hasn't come yet. Can you say that I've won?" Wu Heng asked proudly. Instructor Qian frowned. He did not like Wu Heng's arrogant look. He said indifferently, "It's still half an hour before the appointed hour. Maybe Yunchujio will be here soon." Wu Heng bit back a retort. He quietly cursed Instructor Qian in his heart. "Just you wait. Sooner or later, I'll ask my uncle to get Deputy Dinin to fire you. We'll see how you can still be arrogant then." Those onlookers were also discussing animatedly. "Look at the time, Yunchujio still isn't here. Is it possible that she chickened out?" "I think so too. This competition is different from the previous one with Yin Sulian. There is no suspense at all. She will definitely be the loser." Indeed, Wu Heng has been learning the beast-controlling technique for 3 years. It is said that Yunchujio has only taken 3 classes. The difference in strength between the 2 sides is too great. If Yunchujio wants to win, she will need a miracle. I don't think so. Last time, when she competed with Yin Sulian in the materialization of spiritual power, you guys said that she couldn't win. But in the end, her materialization of spiritual power simply crushed all the elementary materialization techniques. That's right. Last time, Yunchujio came at the right time. This time, she will definitely be here too. If she was afraid, she wouldn't have taken the initiative to agree to Wu Heng's competition in the first place. Yunchujio even dared to go to the disciplinary department to hang herself. How would she cower at the last minute? She will definitely come. At that moment inside the canteen, Feng Ming and the other 2 stared anxiously. "Junior sister little Jiao, the time for the competition is almost up. Don't eat yet." Yunchujio slowly picked up the fish and ate it while she said, "What's the hurry? You can't be in a hurry when eating fish." It would be bad if you get fish bones stuck in your throat. Feng Ming and the other two almost wanted to kill her with a slap. Why did you order a plate of fish when you know you're in a rush? So early in the morning. Why don't you just eat a few buns? What are you eating, fish? I've been hungry for a while after missing a few meals. Naturally, I have to replenish my strength. Otherwise, how would I deal with that big bear Wu Heng? Yun Chuzhou continued to eat at a leisurely pace as if she did not care that the time was almost up. Finally, when Feng Ming and the other two were about to break down, she put down her chopsticks and waved her hands. Let's go. Junior sister little Jiu, have you learned the beast taming technique or not? Feng Ming asked worriedly. Yun Chuzhou shook her head very naturally. No, that thing is so difficult. How could I possibly learn it in 3 days? Feng Ming and the other two's hearts sank. Then what should we do? Well, act according to the circumstances. If it doesn't work, I'll act like a scoundrel. In any case, I'm not afraid of being struck by lightning. The corners of Feng Ming and the other two's mouths twitched violently. They were convinced there and then. Convinced that junior sister little Joe's skin was thicker than elephant hide. Chapter 1101. Choosing a demon beast. Yun Chuzhou and the other three finally arrived at the beast taming ground at the last minute. Yun Chuzhou smiled and nodded at everyone. Everyone is here early. I ate fish for breakfast and it was a little slow, so I came a little late. Sorry for making everyone wait. Everyone's faces stiffened. Are you a fucking cat? Why are you eating fish so early in the morning? Also, you're really big-hearted. Every time you compete, you either oversleep or eat fish because you're afraid of getting bones stuck in your throat. Is it really good for you to disrespect your opponent so much? Yun Chuzhou slowly walked up to the high platform and bowed to Instructor Qian. Then she said to Wu Heng, how do we compete? Where are the demon beasts? Wu Heng curled his lips. We're using level 16 barbaric bears in this competition. They're all in the cages at the back. We'll each choose one and then make them fight. Whichever side's bear wins is the victor. Yun Chuzhou looked in the direction Wu Heng pointed. Indeed, there was a huge cage in the corner of the open space below. There were 8 barbaric bears in it, and there was a huge cage next to it. It was covered with a black cloth. She did not know what kind of demon beast was in it. Yun Chuzhou inexplicably sympathized with those barbaric bears. Being locked in a small cage and being slaughtered by others was really against the nature of those demon beasts. However, Wu Heng clearly did not manage to control the barbaric bears previously, so why did he suggest using them? Could it be that he had done something? Yun Chuzhou, the beast taming ground below is very dangerous. I advise you to admit defeat right now and kneel to admit your mistake. Otherwise, if something happened to you, it would be too late to regret it, said Wu Heng with eyes full of malice. Admit defeat? I never knew learn to write those words. I would like to advise you instead. You look quite similar to those violent wild bears. If the violent wild bears hurt you by accident, you will have nowhere to cry. Yun Chuzhou said with a smile. The onlookers immediately burst into laughter. Damn it, we are willing to just listen to Yun Chuzhou's scolding. Her words were always so fresh that it was never repeated. Wu Heng was so angry that his face turned red and his neck turned thick with veins. He gritted his teeth and said, Humph, you sharp-tongued brat. You will suffer in a while. Instructor Qian, open the array. Let's go in and begin our competition. Instructor Qian looked at Yun Chuzhou with a questioning look in his eyes. Yun Chuzhou said with a smile, Instructor Qian, since the time is up, please open the array. I just happen to need some practice with the beast taming technique that I just learned. Instructor Qian and everyone were stunned. Could it be that Yun Chuzhou had learned the beast taming technique? Did she manage to learn it in 3 days? To be exact, she learned the beast taming technique in 2.5 days. Was that possible? Wu Heng sneered in his heart. Keep bragging. It was impossible to learn the beast taming technique in 3 days. I heard that 3 days ago you couldn't establish a spiritual connection with the demon beast egg. How could you learn the beast taming technique now? It must be a bluff. Moreover, even if you managed to learn the beast taming technique, You would either die or be injured today. Instructor Qian opened the array. Yun Chuzhou and Wu Heng followed the ladder down to the clearing. The two of them walked to the cage holding the barbaric bears. The instructor that guarded the cage was Instructor Bai. When he saw the two of them walking over, a cold light flashed in his eyes. Last time he did not succeed, this time he had to get rid of Yun Chuzhou no matter what. Wu Heng looked at Yun Chuzhou with disdain. Your spiritual power is low. You can choose first. Yun Chuzhou's eyes rolled around. She looked at the 8 barbaric bears and pointed with her finger. That one. Wu Heng and Instructor Bai looked at the one that Yun Chuzhou pointed at and were stunned. Why would she choose that one? Chapter 1102. Strong Bear and Old Bear. Instructor Bai asked, Yun Chuzhou, are you sure? Once you make your choice, you can't change it. I'm sure. I picked that one. That one looks honest. I like honest ones. Yun Chuzhou said with a smile. Wu Heng laughed in his heart. Was Yun Chuzhou stupid? The barbaric bear that she chose was old and weak. It was the weakest of the 8 barbaric bears. He could easily kill it with any one of the rest. Instructor Bai rolled his eyes. Although the old bear did not react, it was old and weak. He reckoned that it would not be able to win against Wu Heng's choice regardless, therefore, he said, all right, in that case, I'll release this bear later. Wu Heng, which bear do you choose? Wu Heng had already made his choice. He pointed at the strongest barbaric bear and said, I'll choose that one. Seeing that the two of them had already made their choice, Instructor Bai asked the two of them to retreat to a safe area. Then he released the 2 barbaric bears. When the people in the stand saw the 2 bears that Yun Chuzhou and Wu Heng had chosen, they immediately exploded. Was there even a need to compete? The barbaric bear that Wu Heng had chosen was fat and strong, while the bear that Yun Chuzhou had chosen was old and frail. It looked like the young bear would be able to easily send it flying with a slap. After the 2 barbaric bears were released, the first thing Wu Heng and Yun Chuzhou had to do was to establish a spiritual connection with them. Wu Heng revealed a complacent smile. He quietly crushed a pill in his hand and walked towards the barbaric bear that he had chosen. The barbaric bear originally grimaced in pain and wanted to attack Wu Heng, but it suddenly turned docile. Wu Heng immediately established a spiritual connection with it, and quickly formed a seal with his hands. The beast taming technique was successful. On the other hand, on Yun Chuzhou's side, after the old bear was released, it lay lazily on the ground, with no intention of getting up. Yun Chuzhou also had a lazy look, standing there like a wooden stake. She hugged her shoulders and watched Wu Heng taming the strong bear, as if the competition had nothing to do with her. After Wu Heng successfully tamed the bear, he saw the situation on Yun Chuzhou's side, and his face revealed a disdainful expression. He thought that Yun Chuzhou had probably bluffed her way there. How could she have learned the beast taming technique in such a short time? No wonder she chose that old bear. She was probably afraid that if she chose another bear, it would attack her. Yun Chuzhou, are you ready? Can the 2 bears start fighting? Wu Heng's face was full of arrogance. He had had the competition in the bag, and would not need to use the secret moves that he had prepared. Yun Chuzhou clapped her hands. I have finished long ago. I was just waiting for you. Hurry up. Can't you see that my bear is about to fall asleep from waiting? The onlookers' faces stiffened. Yun Chuzhou, you're just lying through your teeth. That old bear had not waited to fall asleep. It has no fighting spirit at all. There was no suspense in the competition. The strong bear did not even need to make a move. It would probably just roar at the old bear a few times and the old bear would be done for. Wu Heng obviously had the same thought. He used his spiritual sense to command the strong bear. Go. Defeat that bear. Since the strong bear had been controlled, it had to listen to Wu Heng's commands. Otherwise, its spiritual sense would be in extreme pain. It fiercely rushed towards the old bear. The old bear lay on the ground motionlessly. It knew that it was already old and weak. It was no match for the strong bear at all. Rather than fighting head-on and getting injured, it might as well just admit defeat. Chapter 1103. Reasoning with the bear. When the strong bear saw that the old bear had not moved, it proudly roared a few times. Wu Heng stood at the back and laughed arrogantly. Yun Chuzhou, didn't you say that you have already gained control of that old bear? Why is it still lying there? It seems that you are spouting nonsense. You are going to lose for sure. It's better for you to quickly kneel and admit defeat. Yun Chuzhou ignored him. Instead, she looked at the strong bear. With one hand on her waist, she pointed at the strong bear and scolded, "You stupid bear! Have you forgotten what I've taught you?" The strong bear was dumbfounded after being scolded. It thought to itself, could this little girl be mentally challenged? Last time I've taught you that since you want to cultivate the path of longevity, you have to look at all aspects of the human race. Your hygiene is very good now, but why are you acting like a hooligan now? The reason why people are called human is that they have to be virtuous and respect the elderly and love the young. This old bear is your elder. You have no grudges and have lived together for many years. Do you have the heart to humiliate it like this? Don't you think about how you will feel when other bears humiliate you when you are old? Yun Chuzhou said bitterly with a look of resentment. The strong bear, old bear, and everyone else were all dumbfounded, trying to reason with the bear. Was Yun Chuzhou crazy? That bear was a demon beast. How could it understand such logic? Wu Heng laughed out loud. Yun Chuzhou, are you stupid? If these beasts can act like us humans, how can they still be called beasts? Smelly bear, what are you still standing there for? Hurry up and attack that useless old bear. When the strong bear heard Wu Heng's words, it roared unhappily, but it still walked towards the old bear. Although Yun Chuzhou's words touched it a little, now it was being controlled by someone else. If it did not follow the orders of the person who controlled it, its spiritual sense would be in great pain. In order not to suffer, it had to listen to the fatty. Stop! Are you that cheap? He called you a smelly bear, yet you still listen to him? Where is your pride and moral integrity as a demon beast? To think that you are so big and have no brains at all. If you attack your elders according to his orders today, you will not be able to cultivate the great Tao in your lifetime. This will be the humiliation of your lifetime. Yun Chuzhou shouted sternly. The strong bear was stunned by Yun Chuzhou's imposing manner and stood motionless. At that moment it felt that its bear brain could no longer bear it. Although it should listen to the orders of the person who commanded it, why did it feel that what the little girl said made sense? It was too disgraceful to listen to the orders of that damn fatty and attack its elders. Wu Heng's heart sank when he saw that the strong bear had stopped where it was. He used his spiritual sense to test the strong bears. What are you stopping for? Hurry up and attack. The strong bear's spiritual sense was in pain. It no longer cared about Yun Chuzhou's words and rushed towards the old bear. Yun Chuzhou rolled her eyes and shouted at the old bear, "Old bear, get lost." The old bear instinctively followed Yun Chuzhou's instructions and rolled on the ground, dodging the strong bear's attack. Yun Chuzhou continued to shout, "Old bear, do you want to regain your former prestige? Do you want to establish your dominance as an elder bear in front of this bear cub? If you do, take the initiative to establish a spiritual connection with me. If you want to live like this for the rest of your life, then give up on yourself." Chapter 1104. A success. At that time, Old Bear was left in a sorry state after being chased around by the strong bear. When he heard Yun Chuzhou's words, he impulsively took the initiative to establish a spiritual connection with Yun Chuzhou. It was the first time Yun Chuzhou used the beast taming technique. She finally succeeded after she stumbled for a while. She laughed arrogantly, "Ha ha, I succeeded. I finally succeeded." The corners of the audience's eyes twitched violently. She had been able to successfully control the beast entirely through her words. It was estimated that throughout the ages, the only person who had succeeded in doing that was Yun Chuzhou. What a freak. At that moment, the old bear's heart was on the verge of collapse. Had it made an irreparable mistake? Why did it feel that that little girl was very out of tune? Wu Heng never expected that Yun Chuzhou would succeed in her attempt to control the bear. It was truly detestable. However, he sneered and said, Yun Chujio, although you succeeded in controlling the bear, can that old and stupid bear of yours beat my strong bear? Accept your defeat. As he finished his taunt, Wu Heng immediately used his spiritual sense to order the strong bear to kill the old bear. Although he only needed to defeat the bear in the competition, Wu Heng ordered the bear to be killed to vent his anger. Since his uncle was taking care of things, he was not afraid of the consequences. Although the strong bear was unwilling, its spiritual sense was being controlled, so it could only obey Wu Heng's order to attack the old bear. Yun Chujio secretly used her spiritual sense to tell the old bear, Old bear, you tell that strong bear to take the initiative to establish a spiritual sense connection with me. I will help it cut off Wu Heng's spiritual sense. You two stall for time and run around crazily. Throw around the sand on the ground and howl for me. Although the old bear was old and weak, it was still strong when it was young. Naturally, it did not want to be defeated by the strong bear. Therefore, it relayed Yun Chujio's words to the strong bear. And the strong bear agreed because it hated the damn fatty who called it a smelly bear. He was the smelly one, his whole family is smelly. Humans are usually hygienic, but you are not. Therefore, everyone was dumbfounded as they watched the two violent barbaric bears start to run around crazily. The two bears were huge, and the sand on the ground was thrown up in their wake. The sand obscured the view and they could only hear the sky-shaking roars of the two barbaric bears. Wu Heng felt that there was no suspense in the outcome of the battle. He said to Yun Chujio with disdain, Yun Chujio, you are struggling in vain. That old bear of yours is no match for this bear of mine. It will definitely lose in less than 15 minutes. Yun Chujio looked at him with a faint smile. Indeed. In less than 15 minutes we will see the result. However, the person who will lose will not be me, but you. Wu Heng could not help but laugh out loud. Yun Chujio, keep your mouth shut. I'll see how you beg for mercy later. The people in the stands also discussed the situation that unfolded. Although Yun Chujio successfully controlled the old bear, it was not a match for the strong bear at all. She will definitely lose. This is all her fault. She should have just chosen a stronger bear. Forget it. That old bear was successfully tricked by her words. Can she even successfully control a stronger one? You're right. Although Yun Chujio being able to control a strong bear is impossible, she will still lose. What a pity. Instructor Qian also sighed. That Yun Chujio was a good candidate to learn beast taming. However, she would definitely lose this competition. He did not know if the little girl would be able to recover from the setback of the loss. Chapter 1105. Spiritual sense cut off. As time passed, Wu Heng became even more pleased with himself. It was because the information the strong bear had given him was that the old bear was about to die. Suddenly, Wu Heng felt a sharp pain in his spiritual sense. The connection with strong bear's spiritual sense had been severed. Wu Heng immediately fainted from the pain. Yun Chujio covered her mouth in shock. Damn, why did you faint? Don't tell me you think that since you're facing defeat, you dare not face reality. Instructor Wu immediately stood up from the stands. What was going on? Why did Heng Er suddenly faint? Could it be that Yun Chujio had used some despicable trick? The distance between the two of them was not very close, so even if she wanted to use a secret move, she could not. Instructor Bai saw that Wu Heng had fainted and hurriedly ran over. After feeding Wu Heng a recovery pill, Wu Heng woke up. He covered his head and screamed, My spiritual sense with the bear has been cut off. My spiritual sense was damaged. Instructor Bai and everyone in the stands was stunned. Spiritual sense was cut off? How is this possible? Wu Heng was at the 8th level of the spirit sect, and the barbaric bear was only at the 16th level. It could not possibly cut off Wu Heng's spiritual sense. Then who did it? At that moment, Yun Chujio said with disdain, Wu Heng, in order not to kneel and admit your mistake, you pretended to be injured. How shameless! How could your spiritual sense be cut off by someone else? The strong bear's spiritual sense is not as strong as yours. Could it be that it was cut off by Instructor Bai? Or are you trying to frame me for cutting off your spiritual sense? You're talking nonsense. My spiritual sense was clearly cut off by someone. Wu Heng endured the pain of his spiritual sense and roared. Forget it. You either pretended to be injured or you're not good at beast taming in the first place. During the process of controlling it, you went crazy and that's why you injured your spiritual sense. Alright, a few days ago you couldn't control it successfully. Today you succeeded in one go. Could it be that you used some evil trick and that's why you went crazy? It's karma. Yun Chuzhou clapped her hands and said. After hearing Yun Chuzhou's words, Wu Heng felt a little guilty. Could it be that he went berserk? When his uncle gave him the bewitching beast powder, he did not mention any side effects. Yun Chuzhou was very smart. When she saw Wu Heng's expression, she knew that she had guessed correctly by accident, thus she said with disdain, if you insist that your spiritual sense was cut off by someone, then get Dean Huangfu and some instructors to come over and check it out. Well, start with your body and see if you went berserk. No need. No need to check me. I'm fine. It's just a relapse from an old illness. I'm much better now. Let's continue the competition. Wu Heng was afraid that he would be exposed, so he forced himself to stand up. It's good that you're fine. But we don't have to compete anymore. Look, that strong bear of yours has already lost. Yun Chuzhou pointed forward and saw that the strong bear was being slapped by the old bear. The old bear slapped and used its spiritual sense to say to the strong bear, bear with it. The little girl said that as long as you cooperate with me and act well in this show, she won't mistreat us. The strong bear was still in a daze. Damn, that little girl only at the first level of the spirit sect. How did she cut off that damn fatty's spiritual sense? It originally thought that she was just boasting. Wu Heng's head buzzed. He lost? No, he could not lose. He glanced at Instructor Bai, who nodded indiscernibly. Then, the 6 barbaric bears that were originally locked in the cage roared and charged toward Yun Chuzhou. Chapter 1106. Blazing Hurricane Tiger. Although the spectators were all shocked, they were not too worried. The instructors in the Spirit Beast Park were different from the instructors in charge of their classes. Their spiritual power was much lower, and they were all at the level of a spirit saint. Although Instructor Bai was only at the 6th level of the spirit saint realm, it was not a problem for him to deal with 6 barbaric bears. Unexpectedly, several angry roars came from the cage covered with a black cloth. 6 21st level blazing hurricane tigers rushed out from the cage. Oh my god! Level 21 is equivalent to the 3rd level of the Spirit Saint realm. Even Instructor Bai can't deal with so many blazing hurricane tigers. There are 6 barbaric bears as well. Oh no, there are 8. Those 2 might also turn violent. Instructor Qian, open the array quickly. Let's hurry down and save them. Instructor Qian's forehead was covered in sweat. He wanted to open the array formation separating the field from the spectators, but when the barbaric bears rushed out, he realized that the array formation could not be opened. What's going on? Quick! Someone! Quickly turn off the array formation. Saving her is more important. Instructor Wu shouted anxiously, but he sneered in his heart. A little girl dared to fight with him. Even if he killed her today, Instructor Bai would be the one charged with negligence. Deputy Dean would not receive too severe a punishment after it was over. The worst-case scenario would be that he would be fired. When the time came, he would just continue to help the Yin family. The stands were in complete chaos. The beast-taming field's array formation was to prevent demon beasts from hurting people, so the level of the array formation was quite high. The fastest way was to turn off the formation disc. However, would Yun Chuzhou and the others be able to hold on until then? The crowd also discovered one thing, and that was that regardless of whether it was the barbaric bears or the blazing hurricane tiger, they all rushed towards Yun Chuzhou. They completely ignored Instructor Bai and Wu Heng, who stood on the other side. Yun Chuzhou sneered in her heart. So this was their move. Their methods were so clumsy. Were they prepared to give up on Instructor Bai as a chess piece? If that were true, it was worth it for them to sacrifice her for their revenge. Damn it. It was not that easy to take Yoon Chujia's life. As a last resort, she could still use the concealment talisman and sudden rupture talisman given to her by the pretty boy. However, she did not want to reveal her trump card yet. She would try other methods first. If that did not work, she would activate the concealment talisman again. Yoon Chujio thought of that and ran towards Instructor Bai and the others. Heavens, the demon beasts have gone crazy. Instructor Bai, save us. Instructor Bai's lips curled into a cold smile. Save us? If it was not for the fact that I was afraid of being too explicit, I would have slapped you to death. There's no way I can save you. Instructor Bai gave Wu Hung a look, and Wu Hung let out a blood-curdling scream as he fell onto Instructor Bai's body. Instructor Bai said anxiously, Yoon Chujio, Wu Hung has fainted. I'll bring him to a safe place first. You hold on for a while, someone will save us soon. Instructor Bai wanted to carry Wu Hung away after saying that, but he did not expect Yoon Chujio to run after him like a stalker. She even shouted, Instructor Bai, I'm only at the first level of the spirit sect, how can I hold off these demon beasts? I'll carry Senior Wu Hung, you fight off the demon beasts. As an instructor, don't tell me you want to sacrifice your student to save your own life. Instructor Bai was so angry that his teeth were itched. This Yoon Chujio was too crafty. Those demon beasts did not care about human affairs. Seeing Yoon Chujio hide behind Instructor Bai, they threw a few wind blades at Instructor Bai. Instructor Bai was so angry that he rolled his eyes. You idiots, that little girl is your target. Why are you attacking me? Chapter 1107. Flowed with the blood of nobility. Yoon Chujio, who hid behind Instructor Bai, could not help but click her tongue as she watched. Damn, these high-level demon beasts were indeed powerful. Not only were there many wind blades, but they were also extremely fast. Instructor Bai was naturally unwilling to be Yoon Chujio's shield. He found an opening and carried Wu Hung, leaped some distance away. Yoon Chujio wanted to chase after him, but she was blocked by a few barbaric bears. Yoon Chujio was confused. She did not have any physical contact with Wu Hung and Instructor Bai. What did they do? Why did these demonic beasts have to attack her? Old bear, quickly ask, why are your companions coming after me? Yoon Chujio asked the old bear with her spiritual sense as she ran. Old bear and strong bear were still in a daze. When they heard Yoon Chujio's order, old bear roared a few times. The barbaric bears also roared back angrily. Little girl, they said that Bai controlled them and ordered them to kill you. Fuck, it was indeed Bai's trick. Was he stalling for time or using talismans? Old bear, quickly tell them back off. I won't mistreat them in the future if they do. It was better to focus on one problem at a time and take care of the barbaric bears first. Then, she would think of a way to deal with the 6 blazing hurricane tigers. The 6 barbaric bears had a good impression of Yoon Chujio. Since there were so many beasts, they could not tell what was going on. It was all they could do to hold back, or even help Yoon Chujio avoid the 6 hurricane flaming tigers. However, the barbaric bears' levels were much lower than the blazing hurricane tigers, so they could only help her a little. Yoon Chujio was eventually forced into a corner by the 6 hurricane flaming tigers. The 6 hurricane flaming tigers drooled as they stared at Yoon Chujio greedily. Stop! My lords, there's a saying. When a man is about to die, his words are kind. Can you listen to my last words? Yoon Chujio said pitifully. The 6 hurricane flaming tigers felt that Yoon Chujio would not escape from them at that point. They were like a cat playing with a mouse, ready to listen to what Yoon Chujio had to say. My lords tigers, you are different from other demon beasts. You have noble blood flowing through your bodies. Yoon Chujio paused at that point. The 6 hurricane tigers waited for Yoon Chujio to continue. Who did not like to hear good things said about themselves? Demon beasts were no exception. Moreover, the word noble really made the beasts feel empowered. Yoon Chujio saw that the group of stupid tigers had taken the bait. She was delighted and continued. In the secular world, what is a tiger? It is the king of all beasts. What kind of animal would not be obedient to a tiger? The 6 blazing hurricane tiger nodded their heads. What the little girl said made sense. They had the word king on their foreheads. Yun Chujo continued, also the divine beast white tiger is even more amazing. Who would dare to compete with one of the 4 great divine beasts? Who knows, the few of you might have the bloodline of the divine beast white tiger. When the time is ripe, the hidden bloodline will be activated. Are you still worried about not being able to cultivate the great Tao? As they heard Yun Chujio's words, the 6 blazing hurricane tiger felt that they were about to float from all the praise. Oh my God, the divine beast white tiger. If they had the bloodline of the divine beast white tiger, they would be the kings among the demon beasts of the Tianyuan continent. When they were daydreaming of what they could become, they were struck by a wave of pain in their divine senses. The person that controlled them gave the order to attack, and the 6 hurricane flaming tigers opened their big bloody mouths and were about to maul Yun Chujio. She quickly waved her hands and said, "Wait. My lords, I still have a few more words to say. It's not too late to eat me after you let me finish." Chapter 1108. Who is the master? 6 hurricane tigers roared a few times as they showed their impatience at Yun Chujio. My lords, since I'm going to die anyway, I'll speak frankly. It'll be difficult for you to achieve great Tao if you don't let me finish. But once I'm done talking, you can eat me. Yun Chujio's small body straightened. She had her eyes closed and seemed ready to accept her fate. In fact, in her left hand, she held a concealment amulet while her right hand held a burst amulet. If the tigers took another step, she would attack first. The 6 hurricane flaming tigers stopped in their tracks. They were most concerned about cultivating the great Tao. When they heard what Yun Chujio said, how could they let it go? They roared angrily and wanted Yun Chujio to continue. The hurricane flaming tiger and Yun Chujio looked at each other, then they asked, "What is the great Tao?" What is the great Tao? The great Tao has its own principles and follows its own nature. What is the nature of tigers? It is to live a noble and unrestrained life, but what about you now? You have become a tool used by others to gang up on a weakling like me. Where is your nobility? Where is your unrestrained nature? You have already lost the most basic principles of the great Tao. How are you going to cultivate the great Tao in your current state? Yun Chujio spewed nonsense through her nose and eyes. However, she spoke about the heart of these blazing hurricane tigers. Any demon beast would not be willing to be kept in captivity, let alone a 21st level blazing hurricane tiger. They are violent, undisciplined, and have never been tamed, which is why they were trapped in cages and covered with black cloth. Yun Chujio decided to strike while the iron was hot. She said in a low voice, "The person who controlled you is a bastard. Now you have a chance to take revenge on him. You guys take the initiative to establish a connection with me. I'll help you cut off his spiritual sense. If so many spiritual senses are cut off at once, his spiritual sense will definitely be damaged. He won't be able to recover without a year or so of rest. When the time comes, I'll think of a way to help you regain your freedom. How about it? Do you dare to do it?" Yun Chujio also intentionally worded her question provocatively. She did not ask, "Do you agree?" but "Do you dare to do it?" Those blazing hurricane tiger could not bear to be provoked, so they immediately nodded their huge heads. Roar! Yun Chujio thought to herself, after all, demon beasts were demon beasts. Did they not think that her spiritual sense might not be as strong as the person who controlled them? However, that was also what was charming about demon beasts. They were really easy to fool. However, Yun Chujio had not lied to them. She intended to cut off the spiritual sense of the person behind the scenes. She had confidence in her spiritual sense. She was not even afraid of the weapon spirits of thousands of spirit tools. How could she be afraid of this? The 6 blazing hurricane tigers took the initiative to establish a spiritual sense connection with Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio did not hesitate and immediately cut off all the spiritual sense imprints in their spiritual senses like she was cutting melons and vegetables. She also did the same thing and wiped out all 6 of the barbaric bear's psychic imprints. Instructor Bai fainted on the ground, but Yun Chujo frowned. That's not right. Why did he not react when she cut off the blazing hurricane tiger's spiritual imprints just now? Could it be that only 6 barbaric bears were under his control? Who controlled the blazing hurricane tigers then? Kittens, who was controlling you? Yun Chujo changed her face faster than flipping a book. When she had not established a spiritual connection with the blazing hurricane tigers earlier, she called them Sir Tiger. Now they had become kittens. Although the 6 blazing hurricane tigers wanted to kill her, they were now under her control. They could only respond obediently. We have never seen the person who controlled us, so don't know who did it. Yun Chujo frowned. There was a range limit when one controlled demon beasts. The person who controlled the hurricane flaming tigers was at least an intermediate beast tamer. Moreover, that person must be in the stands. Who could it be? Chapter 1109. Lacked 8 lifetimes of virtue. The first person Yun Chujo suspected was Instructor Wu. Regardless of whether it was his motive or identity, he was the most suspicious candidate. However, she was afraid that she would not be able to catch him in the act. Instructor Wu, who was in the stands, suddenly lost control of the blazing hurricane tigers. Moreover, his spiritual sense had suffered quite a bit of damage. To prevent himself from giving himself away, he gritted his teeth and did not make a sound even though his forehead was filled with beads of sweat. What was going on? How could his spiritual sense be cut off by someone? Who did it? The first person Instructor Wu suspected was Instructor Qian, who anxiously looked down at the field. It must have been Instructor Qian. He had always disliked him, and his beast master level was higher than his. He must have used some secret method to cut off his spiritual sense. Damn it! Instructor Qian, who was horrified and ready to take the blame for what had happened, looked down with a dumbfounded expression. He originally thought that Yun Chujo was doomed. After all, how could she survive being besieged by 6 level 21 blazing hurricane tigers? However, why did those blazing hurricane tigers only surround her and not attack? Also, why did those blazing hurricane tigers and barbaric bears instead turn to attack Instructor Bai and Wu Heng? These demon beasts hated the person who had controlled them to death. Since they could not eat the person who controlled them, it was not a bad idea to eat those 2 accomplices instead. Therefore, they attacked Instructor Bai and Wu Heng without hesitation. Instructor Bai had already woken up. Although his spiritual power was higher than the blazing hurricane tigers, he could not deal with all 6 of them alone. Moreover, there were an additional 8 barbaric bears to contend with. Yun Chujo lay on the ground and looked as if she had fainted from fright. In fact, her eyes were wide open, and she watched the show with a smile. Instructor Bai and Wu Heng did not have the time to look at Yun Chujo. The 2 of them were exhausted as they fought for their lives, and their bodies were soon covered in blood. Instructor Wu shouted anxiously in the stands, "Why haven't the people who went to destroy the formation plate reported back? What are they doing?" Instructor Qian could not help but sneer in his heart. "I did not see you being anxious before, but now that your nephew is in danger, you finally show your true colors." This time it must be the uncle and nephew's doing. However, he did not expect that he would be shot in the foot. That little girl Yun Chujo is amazing. When Instructor Bai and Wu Heng were at death's door, the formation was finally opened. Instructor Wu was the first to jump down. Before he could make a move, the blazing hurricane tiger and the barbaric bears nimbly ran back into their cages, as if the violent outburst just now was an illusion. Instructor Wu had no time to care about those demon beasts. He hurriedly took out some healing pills, then fed them to Wu Heng and Instructor Bai. Although the 2 of them were able to keep their lives, they would not be able to get out of bed for at least a month, especially since their spiritual senses had been damaged. It would take at least half a year for their spiritual sense to recover. Dean Huangfu and a few vice deans had rushed over after such a big incident. Yun Chujo also slowly woke up at this time. She slapped her thigh and howled, "Dean sir, you have to decide for me." Those demon beasts were controlled by someone. The order they received was to kill me. The person who controlled them is really heartless. They were deprived of 8 lifetimes of virtue and would die a horrible death. Instructor Qian, immediately establish contact with those demon beasts and ask who was it that controlled them? Dean Huangfu's face was as dark as water. Everyone came to the front of the 2 cages. After Instructor Qian asked, he said, "The barbaric bears said that the person who controlled them was Instructor Bai, but the blazing hurricane tigers don't know who the person who controlled them was." Chapter 11:10. Retribution for evil. Instructor Wu gave Instructor Bai a veiled glance. Instructor Bai gritted his teeth, then said loudly, "That's right. I was the one who controlled the barbaric bears. I was also the one who controlled those blazing hurricane tigers. Last time Yun Chujiu made me lose face. I just wanted to scare her so that she wouldn't be so arrogant in the future." Everyone was in an uproar. Instructor Bai was too sinister. He actually planned such a vicious scheme just because Yun Chujiu embarrassed him. Scare her? He probably wanted to take Yun Chujiu's life. Such a person was simply unworthy of being an instructor of Tianyuan Academy. Instructor Qian frowned. "Instructor Bai, with your cultivation level, I'm afraid you can't possibly control 6 blazing hurricane tigers at the same time, right? Could it be that you're taking the blame for others?" Instructor Bai paused for a moment, then he said, "According to normal methods, I naturally wouldn't be able to control so many demon beasts at the same time. However, I used the bewitching beast powder, and they could only obediently establish a spiritual connection with me. That's why I went berserk and my spiritual sense was damaged." "What? You used the bewitching beast powder? Do you know that the bewitching beast powder will cause great harm to the spiritual senses of the demon beasts? It's likely that they won't be able to advance in rank in the future." "Shameless scum," Instructor Qian said angrily. When the barbaric bears and blazing hurricane tigers inside the cage heard Instructor Qian's words, they immediately roared in anger. Fuck. They should have bitten that Bai guy to death just now. He actually destroyed their path to immortality. Yun Chujiu, who stood at the side, blinked her eyes and used her spiritual sense to quietly say to the blazing hurricane tigers, "What are you guys still standing there for? Why aren't you taking the opportunity to bite him to death?" As those demon beasts entered the cage of their own accord, the cage was not locked. Instructor Bai was the closest to the cage. A few blazing hurricane tigers jumped out and pounced on Instructor Bai. Instructor Bai's injuries were already very serious, so he was helpless. He could only shout for help. Although Dean Huangfu and the others saw what happened, they did not want to stop it. Such a person deserved to die. Instructor Wu was even more eager to silence the blazing hurricane tigers and did not help him. Instructor Bai was swallowed by the blazing hurricane tiger right in front of everyone's eyes. After the blazing hurricane tiger ate Instructor Bai, it roared angrily at Wu Heng, who lay at the side. Wu Heng was so scared that his pants were wet. He was afraid that the blazing hurricane tiger would swallow him as well. Fortunately, Instructor Wu stood by his side. Those blazing hurricane tigers were forced back into the cage by Instructor Wu's pressure. Dean Huangfu suddenly said, "Instructor Wu, recently the Spirit Beast Park has been full of mistakes. Not to mention the long-term ones. First, the demon beast eggs attacked Yun Chujiu, and now the demon beasts have injured people. Moreover, they knew that there was a beast taming competition today. So why did they leave these 6 fierce hurricane tigers here? As the person in charge of the Spirit Beast Park, it's hard for you to escape the blame. You should go on leave for a few months first. Instructor Qian, your beast taming class teaching task isn't too taxing, so for the time being, you will be the person in charge of the Spirit Beast Park." "Yes, Dean." Instructor Qian did not decline, because when he saw that the Spirit Beast Park was in a mess, his heart ached, and he made up his mind to restore the Spirit Beast Park to its former glory. Instructor Wu's face was pale, and he looked at Deputy Dean obscurely. Deputy Dean coughed and said, "Dean, although Instructor Wu has a responsibility that can't be shirked, Isn't this punishment too heavy? Dean Huangfu looked deeply at Deputy Dean and said, Deputy Dean, Instructor Wu's spiritual sense has been seriously injured. I'm doing this to let him rest. Do you think it's inappropriate? When Instructor Wu heard Dean Huangfu's words, his face turned even paler. He knew that Dean Huangfu had already determined that he was the one who controlled the blazing hurricane tigers, but he just did not point it out. Chapter 11:11. Could this girl have any potential? Deputy Dean knew that Dean Huangfu was blackmailing him. If he continued to insist, Dean Huangfu would investigate the matter thoroughly. He gritted his teeth and said, if that's the case, let's do as Dean says. Seeing that the matter was settled, everyone prepared to disperse. Unexpectedly, Yun Chujo jumped in front of Instructor Wu and said, Instructor Wu, this competition was proposed by Wu Heng. According to the agreement, if he loses, he must kneel and admit his mistake and compensate me with 2 million high-grade spirit stones. Now that he has undoubtedly lost, shouldn't you wake him up and fulfill his promise? Otherwise, he will be struck by lightning. Although Instructor Wu wished he could strangle Yun Chujo to death, under the watchful eyes of everyone, he could only endure it. Yun Chujo, you have seen it too. Heng Er is now seriously injured. How can he kneel and admit his mistake? Looking at your words, it's as if I forced him to kneel. In any case, the inner demon oath was made by him himself. I reckon that Tiandao doesn't care whether he is seriously injured or not. If we don't hurry up, the heavenly lightning will come soon. Yun Chujo hugged her shoulders and shook her legs, looking very smug. You. Instructor Wu felt that his severely injured spiritual sense was in even more pain, so he could only wake Wu Heng up and let him fulfill the conditions of the bet. After he listened to Instructor Wu's words, Wu Heng almost fainted again. Are you my biological uncle? I'm already like this and you still want me to kneel and admit my mistake to Yun Chujo? Wu Heng, are you trying to renege on your debt? Hurry up, don't dawdle. I haven't even eaten my breakfast yet, and am in a hurry to have lunch. Yun Chujo pouted and said, Wu Heng was heavily injured, so how could he kneel? In the end, Instructor Wu and another instructor carried Wu Heng and knelt to Yun Chujo, saying that he was wrong. You really are a stubborn person. I just said that and you really knelt? Tiske, this injury is already so severe, yet you still kneeled to me. If your injury worsens and you die, don't blame me. Wu Heng choked and fainted from anger. Fainted again? Instructor Wu Heng hasn't given me 2 million high-grade spirit stones yet. You as his uncle will pay for the debt instead. You can transfer the spirit stones to me. Instructor Wu had no intention to tangle with Yun Chujo now. He angrily transferred 2 million high-grade spirit stones to Yun Chujo, and then had someone carry Wu Heng away. Seeing that Instructor Wu's uncle and nephew had left, Yun Chujo jumped to Instructor Qian's side. Instructor Qian, congratulations. In the future, I can be at ease and enter the Spirit Beast Park. Otherwise, I'll always be on the edge of my seat. Instructor Qian nodded slightly. You're very talented in beast taming. If you cultivate well in the future, you'll definitely be able to achieve outstanding results. Instructor Qian, you have good taste. I'm not bragging, but I like these demon beasts the most. They all like me too. As long as I wave my hand, they are willing to establish a spiritual connection with me. The corner of Instructor Qian's eyes twitched violently. Can I take back what I said just now? Can such a shameless girl have any future? Yun Chujo bragged for a while before she hopped away under the escort of the Huang class and the others. Instructor Qian shook his head. He remembered that Instructor Bai had said that he had used the bewitching beast powder on those demon beasts, so he decided to check their spiritual sense to see if there was any way to salvage the situation. Instructor Qian randomly chose a blazing hurricane tiger to inspect, however. He was surprised to find that the blazing hurricane tiger's spiritual sense was not damaged at all. He then checked on the other demon beasts in disbelief, but there was no damage to any of them at all. What was going on? Chapter 11:12. An unusual atmosphere. Instructor Qian suddenly remembered something that had been overlooked by everyone. Could it be that Instructor Bei's spiritual sense had really been damaged due to qi deviation? Moreover, according to Dean Huangfu, Instructor Wu was the one who had controlled the 6 blazing hurricane tigers. Then, how had his spiritual sense been injured? The spiritual sense of these demon beasts had not been damaged. That could only mean one thing, and that was that Instructor Wu's spiritual sense had been forcefully cut off. Previously, Wu Heng had blurted out that his spiritual sense had been cut off by someone, but later he had denied it. Could it be that the spiritual sense of these 3 people had not behaved erratically but had been cut off by someone? How could that be possible? During the process of controlling them, there were only 2 ways to forcefully cut off the spiritual sense of the person controlling them. One was to establish a spiritual connection with the demon beasts and forcibly erase the spiritual sense imprint of the person controlling them from the spiritual sense of the demon beasts, and the other was to kill the person controlling them. Wu Heng and the other 2 were still alive, so there was only one possibility. However, there was only one person who had the opportunity to establish a spiritual connection with the demon beasts, and that was Yun Chuzhou. Instructor Qian thought about it for a long time, and an answer was on the tip of his tongue. Yun Chuzhou had forcefully erased the imprint that Wu Heng and the other 2 had left in the spiritual senses of the demon beasts. Because the process of controlling the demon beast was forcefully stopped, the spiritual sense of the demon beasts was not damaged. Because Yun Chuzhou had established a spiritual connection with the demon beasts, they did not attack Yun Chuzhou. Instead, they attacked Instructor Bai and Wu Heng. However, how could Yun Chuzhou's spiritual sense be so powerful? Instructor Wu was at the 2nd layer of the spiritual venerable realm. To verify his thoughts, Instructor Qian established a spiritual connection with one of the blazing hurricane tigers and asked, was the spiritual sense mark of the controlling person forcefully erased by Yun Chuzhou? The blazing hurricane tiger was happy that its spiritual imprint was not damaged. It said honestly, yes, it was done by that little girl. She even said that we might have the bloodline of the white tiger. The demon beasts acted based on their instincts. They felt that Instructor Qian had no ill intentions towards them, and was eager to show that they might be the descendants of the divine beasts. Therefore, the blazing hurricane tiger told Instructor Qian everything. Instructor Qian's face was stiff after listening to the hurricane flaming tiger's words. He was initially puzzled at how she successfully established spiritual connections with so many demon beasts when her power level was so low. It turned out that it was all a bluff. What a freak! However, how could a little girl at the 1st level of the spirit sect have such a strong spiritual sense? Instructor Qian shook his head. It was not a bad thing to have a strong spiritual sense. That little girl might be able to master powerful beast taming techniques in the future, because she had one more advantage than them, which was that she had a silver tongue. She had fooled more than 10 demon beasts. After the incident, Deputy Dean Yin regarded Yun Chuzhou even more as a thorn in his side. However, he had not found an opportunity to get his revenge, so he could only temporarily hold back his troops. In the blink of an eye, more than a month had passed. One afternoon, Yun Chuzhou had just finished class and was about to go to the cafeteria to eat, when she found that there was an unusual atmosphere in the Tianyuan Academy. Fuck, there are so many pink-faced and shy people. What was going on? Almost everyone on the road headed towards Tianyuan Square. The female students in particular were all dressed up beautifully. Their faces were flushed with excitement as they jogged forward. Chapter 11:13. The extremely popular black chicken head Yun Chuzhou called out to an older male student, "Senior, what are you guys up to? Why are you all in such a hurry? Junior Yun, don't you know? His Excellency and young Master Wuji are here. They are currently at the Tianyuan Square, telling us some of their experiences from studying at Tianyuan Academy." Yun Chuzhou could be considered to be famous now. There was no one in the Tianyuan Academy who did not know her. Yun Chuzhou was stunned. The pretty boy and the black chicken head were here? Why did they not tell her? Especially the pretty boy. They had just exchanged messages a few days ago. Why did he not mention it? Could it be that it was a last-minute decision? Even if it was a last-minute decision, they could still tell her through the voice transmission talisman. Yun Chujo called Fengming and the other two then rushed to the Tianyuan Plaza. Sure enough, from afar they saw two figures, one red and one white, standing on the high platform. Both of them were extremely charismatic and peerless in appearance. The female students below screamed one after another. It sounded as if people were slaughtering pigs. Yun Chujo curled her lips. These superficial infatuated people, weren't they just a little better looking? Weren't they just a little better in spiritual power? Didn't they just come from wealthier families? Weren't they just have legendary traits desired by all? Did they have to lose their composure like that? They were so shallow. Yun Chujo grumbled a few times in jealousy. Then with great difficulty, she squeezed to the front of the crowd. Of course, along the way, she was looked down upon by everyone. Who would want to miss the chance to be closer to His Excellency and young Master Wuji? Shui Wuji spotted Yun Chujo at a glance. Just as he was about to extend his hands to greet her, Di Baiming glared at him. He had no choice but to hide his hands and smile at Yun Chujo. Instantly, dozens of female students in Yun Chuji's direction fainted. The rest of them screamed in excitement. Young Master Wuji smiled at me. Ha ha, I can't take it anymore. I'm going to faint. I'll die now for young Master Wuji's smile. I'll die with no regrets. Young Master Wuji, I love you. I want to marry you. Yun Chujo felt goosebumps all over her body. Damn, the power of a brain-dead fan was too much. Fortunately, Wuji was still smart enough to not greet her directly. Otherwise, she would have been torn apart by these people. It was not until Dean Huangfu went on stage that the screams quieted down. Dean Huangfu gave a few polite words to welcome His Excellency and young Master Wuji back to their alma mater, and let everyone learn from them. Finally, he signaled to Di Baiming and Shui Wuji that they could start imparting their experiences. Di Baiming took a step back slightly and signaled for Shui Wuji to start first. To gain a sense of presence in front of Yun Chujo, Shui Wuji recited the speech he had prepared earlier. His eloquence immediately caused the fangirls below to exclaim in surprise. Yun Chujo was secretly delighted. She did not expect Wuji to not be boasting. His popularity in the Tianyuan continent was not inferior to that of the pretty boy. As expected, no matter when or where he would always be popular. After Shui Wuji finished, it was Di Baiming's turn to speak. Compared to Shui Wuji's flowery words, Di Baiming's speech was straight to the point. Even Yun Chujo felt that he had learned a lot. She did not expect that the pretty boy was so capable. No wonder his subordinates were trained so well. Di Baiming's speech did not receive many exclamations. However, in the end, he won even more applause and sincere thanks from the people. Shui Wuji pursed his lips. That idiot. He was just going through the motions, but that facial paralysis guy took it seriously and prepared so much. He had completely forgotten that he had almost driven the people of the Demon Blood sect crazy for this speech. He had revised the speech 70 to 80 times and almost made them vomit blood from the repeated changes. Chapter 11:14. Candidates to accompany them after the end of Di Baiming's speech, Dean Huangfu announced a shocking piece of news. It's not easy for His Excellency and young Master Wuji to find the time to return to the academy, so they decided to temporarily stay here for 3 days. During this period, the academy will arrange for a few student representatives to accompany the two of them during their visit. When everyone heard Dean Huangfu's words, they instantly exploded. Especially the female students, who felt their little hearts were about to jump out of their chests. What? His Excellency and young Master Wuji were going to stay in the academy for 3 days? Would that not mean that they would be able to see them many times? Would that also not mean that they would have the opportunity to get closer to the two of them? The feeling was especially true for the three beauties. They felt as if they just had a windfall. the Academy's representative would definitely choose them. Forget about young Master Wuji. His Excellency had always been difficult to get close to. It was a great opportunity that they had to seize. The three of them even began to look forward to what kind of clothes they would wear every day, what kind of makeup they would wear, and where they would bring Di Biming to visit. Silence, I can understand your feelings, but the quota is limited. For the sake of fairness, we can only draw lots to decide which students will accompany us, Dean Huangfu said in a deep voice. Draw lots? Everyone was stunned. They had originally thought that they would choose students with excellent results, but since it was a lucky draw, would that not mean that everyone had a chance? That was great. Dean Huangfu took out a crystal-clear ball, and everyone's student numbers began to flash on the screen. Dean Huangfu smiled and said, Your Excellency, young Master Wuji, each of you can choose a student. I will choose the last one. Di Biming and Xue Wuji nodded slightly at Dean Huangfu. Although the two of them had such highly renowned statuses, they still respected Dean Huangfu very much. Di Biming placed his hand on the ball, and a student ID appeared on the big screen. It was Lin Han from the 4th grade Xian class. A male student shouted excitedly, It's me! It's me! His Excellency chose me. I'm so lucky. Everyone looked at Lin Han with envy. Although the male student would not have any improper thoughts towards His Excellency and young Master Wuji, if he could gain their recognition, it would be of great help to his future and even his family, so it was understood why he was so excited. Many female students wished they could change their name to Lin Han, and their faces were filled with envy, jealousy, and hatred towards Lin Han. Lin Han was completely unaware of the scorn and had a silly smile on his face. He did not expect to find himself in the bottom position in the Tianyuan Academy for the past 4 years, then have such good luck suddenly appear. It simply made him so happy that they wanted to go crazy. With Lin Han as a precedent, hope rose in everyone's hearts knowing that just anyone could be selected. They did not know who young Master Wuji and the principal would choose. Xue Wuji gave everyone a devilish smile and immediately caused a group of women to cry out in shock. Then he placed his hand on the ball and a name appeared on the display screen. 3rd grade Xian class, Nangong Lue. Almost at the same time, a female student blissfully fainted. Needless to say, that female student was Nangong Lue. The other female students in the square were filled with envy, jealousy, and hatred. They wished they could replace her, especially the 3 beauties. Her eyes were like knives as she looked at Nangong Luoyue, who had already woken up. Nangong Luoyue was so happy that she did not know what to say. Her looks were average, her family background was average, and her spiritual power was also average. She did not expect to have such a chance to interact with her Prince Charming. Felt like a dream. Everyone could only place their hopes on Dean Huangfu, hoping that good luck would befall them. Chapter 11:15. Who was that shameless person? Dean Huangfu smiled and placed his hand on the ball. A line of words appeared on the screen. 1st grade Huang class, Yun Chujiu. Yun Chujiu had already expected this, but in order not to arouse the suspicion of others, she pretended to be excited with a silly smile. Since the first 2 people, even though everyone was still filled with envy and jealousy, there was no suspicion of a predetermined result. Yun Chujiu in her heart felt relieved. The pretty boy in black chicken head also looked exhausted as they put up a show. She knew they wanted to see her badly, but could they not wait for her to enjoy a few days' rest first? Did you have to go to all this trouble? The 3 beauties were so depressed they wanted to hit the wall. They originally thought that it was a great opportunity, but did not think that not even one of them would be selected. However, His Excellency had finally made an appearance. When the time came, they would think of a way to get close to him. Yin Xinlian looked at Yun Chujiu, who smiled foolishly, and felt that something was amiss. However, after she thought about it, she could not find anything wrong with the situation. Even if His Excellency did treat this Yun Chujiu differently, Young Master Wuji did not know this damned girl, so how could he play any part? Furthermore, there was still Dean Huangfu. She must be overthinking things. Dean Huangfu accompanied Di Biming and young Master Wuji, bringing along the 3 lucky ones who were chosen to head directly to the guest house of the Tianyuan Academy. Many female students followed behind reluctantly, feeling that it would be good if they could take a few more glances at her. Yin Sulian bit her lips as she stared hatefully at Yun Chuji's back. That wretched last luck was too good to actually be chosen. How good would it be if she was the chosen one instead? Then she would be able to develop a good relationship with young Master Wuji. No, she could not give up the opportunity just like that. Yin Sulian took a few steps forward. With a shy face she said to Shui Wuji, "Brother Wuji, I have a gift for you. Can we talk in private?" Shui Wuji had thought about how to please Yun Chujio. He had originally had a good idea, but he did not expect to be interrupted by Yin Sulian's words, which made him forget. He was instantly enraged. "Who are you? Get lost," Shui Wuji said coldly. Fortunately, it was not appropriate for the Tianyuan Academy to publicly beat people up. Otherwise, he would send Yin Sulian flying with a kick. Yin Sulian could not believe her ears. Young Master Wuji was different from His Excellency. Although he was also high and mighty, he would not usually speak ill of a woman. Furthermore, the Yin family was considered to be reputable. She did not expect him to be so shameless. Yin Sulian was stunned for a moment. Then she covered her face and ran away as she cried. Shui Wuji acted as if nothing had happened. He continued to try to recall the idea he had just now. He could not remember no matter what he did. He secretly grew angry. His heart, therefore. He asked Lin Han stood beside him, "What was the name of the shameless person I was talking to just now?" Lin Han's face was full of confusion, but he did not dare not answer. Thus he said, "That was the second miss of the Yin family, Yin Sulian." The Yin family? No wonder. The elder sister shamelessly clung to Di Biming, and that younger sister shamelessly called him elder brother. The upbringing of the Yin family is an eye-opener. Shui Wuji thought of little Jiu in his heart. His words not only made little sister Jiu hate Di Biming for messing around with other girls, but it also showed that he was completely devoted to her. It was too perfect. Yin Xinlian was not far behind them. When Yin Sulian was reprimanded by Shui Wuji earlier, she felt ashamed. She did not expect Shui Wuji to say something even worse. It was worse than killing her. Chapter 11:16. The deadly Shui Wuji. Yin Xinlian's face immediately turned red. She wanted to defend herself, but no matter how eloquent she was, she did not dare to argue with Shui Wuji, who was famous for his devilish charm. If she provoked him, he would do anything to get back at her. He might even send someone to cause trouble for the Yin family. Deputy Dean Yin could no longer hold back. Yin Xinlian and Yin Sulian were both members of the Yin family. For Shui Wuji to say that the Yin family's upbringing was terrible, he would be affected too if he did not say something. Young Master Wuji, it is human nature for a young man to be in love with a young woman. Xinlian and Sulian, these two girls, have nothing to do with His Excellency and young master. Aren't your words a little too extreme? Shui Wuji glanced at him. Deputy Dean Yin, I remember that the Tianyuan Academy has a rule. Since you are serving in the Tianyuan Academy, you must sever your relationship with the family. Otherwise, you will be fired. Don't tell me you want to leave the Tianyuan Academy to revitalize the Yin family? Deputy Dean Yin's old face alternated between green and red. He was so angry that he almost fainted. Shui Wuji's words were too sarcastic. What did he mean by reviving the Yin family? He said it as if the Yin family had already fallen. Moreover, when he said that, it made everyone look at him as if he had been using his power for personal gain. However, Dean Huangfu felt that Shui Wuji was amazing. He was indeed worthy of being an outstanding student who had graduated from their Tianyuan Academy. His words were too powerful. Yoon Chujio, who stood at the side, also felt that that black chicken head had performed well today. His lethality was shocking. He had defeated the 3 members of the Een family so nonchalantly. Although Deputy Dean Een wished that he could strangle Shue Wuji to death, he had the strength of the demon blood sect behind him. He did not dare to go against them, so he could only cover his chest and say, "Your Excellency, young Master Wuji, my chest feels a little stuffy. I will take my leave first." After saying that, as Deputy Dean Een was about to leave, Shue Wuji curled his lips and said, "Deputy Dean Een, you're the Deputy Dean. Shouldn't you inform Dean Huangfu before you take your leave? Are you looking down on Dean Huangfu too much? Or do you intend to replace him?" Deputy Dean En's old face flushed red as he said, "This is indeed my negligence. Dean, I'll take my leave first." Dean Huangfu nodded. "Since Deputy Dean En is not feeling well, then you should rest for the next few days." Deputy Dean En forced himself to turn around and leave. The veins on his hands were clearly exposed under his sleeves. He was extremely angry. Could it be that the Een family had offended Shue Wuji in some way recently? Otherwise, why would he target the Een family so viciously today? It was truly outrageous. How would he know that all of this was just because Een Sulian interrupted Shue Wuji's train of thought? He was just so willful. Di Biming and his group continued to walk towards the guest house. Yoon Chujio originally thought that after Shue Wuji's mischief, the female students behind them would scatter like birds and beasts. However, what she never expected was that, when the female students saw Shue Wuji's venomous tongue, they became even more infatuated. "Young Master Wuji is too handsome. I like his devilish temperament. Yeah, young Master Wuji is so charming no matter what he does. He's handsome beyond the new horizon. Young Master Wuji's appearance just now almost made me faint." The corner of Yoon Chujio's eyes twitched violently. It seemed that each cabbage and radish had their own preferences. There were actually so many people who liked such that crazy black chicken head. Yoon Chujio glanced at him from the corner of her eyes. That Een Xinlian's constitution was really off the charts. Even though the girl and 4th grandfather had been angered away, she still shamelessly followed them. Could it be that she still wanted to have a few words with her pretty boy? Chapter 11:17 Di Biming, whose battle prowess was even more astonishing just as Yoon Chujio thought of that. The 3 beauties began to make their move. Qin Mingzhu took a few steps towards Di Biming and said, "Your Holiness, I heard that when you were studying at the Tianyuan Academy, you liked to read books in the library by yourself. Why don't I accompany you to the library when you have time?" Di Biming did not even look at her and said coldly, "Since you know that I like someone, why are you still following me?" Qin Mingzhu did not say another word. Her face flushed red and she retreated. Een Xinlian gritted her teeth and took a few steps forward. Before she could say anything, Di Biming said, "I have said that the smell on your body is really bad. Don't come close to me." Een Xinlian almost cried. Di Biming had said that the fragrance on her body was choking, so this time she did not use any fragrance at all. She did not expect to be so despised by Di Biming. She was even more embarrassed than Qin Mingzhu. When Qin Mingzhu saw that Een Xinlian was so embarrassed, she felt much better. It seemed that His Excellency still showed mercy to her. It was obvious that he was even more disgusted with Een Xinlian. No matter how deep Een Xinlian's thoughts were, she could not bear being so embarrassed in front of so many people. She covered her face and ran away as she cried. The 3 members of the Een family were all so angry that they left dejectedly. Bailey Yin saw that Qin Mingzhu and Een Xinlian had returned in defeat. She thought about it and did not go forward. Apparently, His Excellency did not seem to be in a good mood today, so she should not tempt his wrath. Although Di Biming and Shue Wuji's skills at rejection were unparalleled, many still students followed them. They felt that even though they could not speak to the exalted young Master Wuji, it was still good for them to be able to take a few glances from afar. After being escorted all the way, they finally arrived at the guest house. By then only Dean Huangfu and the 3 student representatives accompanied Xue Wuji and Di Baiming inside. Once the isolation array was activated, the fangirls could only sigh in admiration. Their hearts were filled with envy and jealousy towards the 3 student representatives. However, they still chose to stay for a while before leaving in embarrassment. The guest house was decorated very elegantly. It had a 2-hall courtyard, a study room, 2 bedrooms and a living room. The few of them came to the living room and sat down. Nangong Luoyue and Lin Han were so nervous that they did not know where to put their hands and feet. Xue Wuji smiled and said, "Junior Lin, Junior Nangong, Junior Yun, there's no need to be so formal." Lin Han and Nangong Luoyue were overwhelmed by his casual attitude. They could still clearly picture Xue Wuji's fierce look when he attacked Dean Sulian and Deputy Dean Yin. They did not expect him to be so amiable now. It was too surprising. The 2 of them stole a glance at Di Baiming. Although he did not speak, his expression did not look as cold as before. Lin Han and Nangong Luoyue felt that their luck was simply out of this world. They actually received such preferential treatment. They sat there excitedly. Yun Chuzhou found it funny in her heart. She did not know if these 2 unlucky fellows were really randomly chosen, but they seemed to be quite earnest in their enthusiasm. The few of them casually chatted for a while. They mostly answered questions from Xue Wuji. Lin Han and Nangong Luoyue were flattered while Yun Chuzhou, on the other hand, munched on the pastries that had already been placed on the table. When Lin Han and Nangong Luoyue saw Yun Chuzhou's behavior, they thought to themselves that Yun Chuzhou was just as the rumor said. She was greedy, but she did not have any shrewdness in her. If an ordinary female student was chosen, then wouldn't she try her best to curry favor with His Excellency and young Master Wuji? If Yun Chuzhou knew what the 2 of them thought of, she would probably burst into laughter. Although the pretty boy and the black chicken had good looks, after seeing them so many times, they would not be as attractive as the pastries on the table. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.